Thomas.
Hey guys, it's time for another fun-filled episode of the ClevelandMoto podcast. Light 'em up, boys! Yay! Well, we're back. We're back from AMA Vintage Days. I'd like to say that it was a huge success. This is actually, I'm sorry, the number's wrong on the thing. We're episode 432. Sorry, Dan.
Uh-oh.
432. I know you're seeing 431 in front of you, but 431 was the actual AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days podcastaganza. So we stole it right off the board. Liza gave it to me. I threw it to the internet.
Perfect.
It's done. It's gone. There's nothing we can do about it.
I can probably superimpose.
It's okay, boys. It's okay.
Just use AI.
We'll just put it 2 on. It's fine. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. So, I gotta say, I've never been so proud. ClevelandMoto did everything ClevelandMoto is known to do. Shenanigans, not a ramp. Airborne,
You know what's funny? Directly after me and John deployed not a ramp, and got Trevor to take the greatest pictures that made us look like gods on motorcycles.
Trevor did a good job, didn't he?
He did, because he caught it at the exact moment where we didn't look just like we were 4 inches in the air.
He's got that Canadian patience.
Right, but another imposter a couple rows over decided to try to do a not a ramp, and then the dude going to the hospital.
Well,
You gotta use it.
Did you see there not a ramp? Well, first it wasn't not a ramp. It was a ramp,
First
and
it
it had
was,
written
yeah.
on it, send it. And it was like this.
Oh, yeah. No, that was not.
It was
that
like,
was
send
not a
it,
good
yeah,
thing.
right to the fucking sun, dude.
Yeah.
So a little bit more sleepy. I didn't know about the hospital.
Yeah, no, that dude, it was a dude on a KLX 250. He was about 6 something, bald head, no gear, and his bald head was red.
Really?
Oh yeah, he put it in pretty good. He was
Really?
dazed and confused, yeah.
Wow.
Because remember when I was like, I'm gonna go check it out?
Yeah.
I saw all the people here, and I came around the car, and I accidentally was like a foot away from dude. Wow. So then I did the old back pedal with my feet, like, oh, sorry.
Nope.
Not going to play that game.
Nope, I don't want to
Not
be
gonna
that
play
guy.
that game.
Yeah, that was and somebody saw me. That was by accident. I didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Wasn't
exactly
me.
right.
It wasn't me. You can't prove it was me.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the incriminator rule? I didn't do it. Nobody saw me do it. And if I did, it was somebody else.
It was somebody else.
That was Shaggy. That wasn't me.
Yep.
Me.
But I saw you next to the dead guy.
I
Wasn't
came kind
me.
of close to eating shit there, that last one. And I hung
My-
out.
Oh, I'm so
My-
proud of you when you pulled out of that, though. I was like, oh, there's Johnny.
You know it's better if the wheel
All you
is
gotta worry
straight when
about
you
is-
land.
All you got to worry about is your front wheel.
Right.
Whatever else happens, just land that front wheel.
Yeah.
That's true.
Since we're
Absolutely
talking
true.
about the not a ramp, Phil, what did Becky tell you?
Tell me. I mean,
So we were sitting there, and dude ate shit in front of our tent.
That was me.
No, not
No,
you.
different
Oh,
dude.
Different
okay.
dude ate shit.
Different dude.
You ate shit in front of the tent, but somebody else did later.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And he ate shit in front of the tent
Yeah.
on top of the portable fire.
Right. He did.
Oh, yeah.
That
And
is-
he gets up, he looks at Becky and goes, that wasn't a ramp. And I looked at her and went, you have to go tell Phil right now what that man just said. And she runs over and goes, that's not a ramp.
I couldn't believe that he accidentally drove into a currently burning, currently
it
firing
was on fire.
with smoke billowing.
thing,
Yeah.
a portable campfire, and he went at it.
Yeah.
Now the other thing, when he went at it, there was a side by side, there was a bike, so like both southbound and northbound were both occupied.
Yep.
He went on the shoulder to hit something that wasn't a ramp, and he hit the fuck out of it.
And then she called him the fuck out. I give her credit for that one.
All I heard was, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah, he was trying to slide away with the old sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
And she called him back. He ended up putting everything back, and I think he picked up a coal or two.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did with his fucking hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was tough though. He had. I saw his attire. He's spent some time in the sandbox.
Yeah.
So he's a veteran. And so when he came back, he was legitimately upset that he'd fucked things up, and he was going to make it right no matter what it took because he's a veteran,
He's a stand-up dude.
stand-up guy. But just the same, how bad is your depth perception that you saw a square metal portable campfire and
Smoking.
said that's a ramp?
That's
Yeah.
a ramp.
Oh, they added fire.
Well, it is VMD. It might have been around.
This year we added fire. It's even better. It's
could all
not.
be
It's not a
ramps.
ramp, and it's on fire.
It's all ramps if you're brave enough.
Again, not the first year we had a burning ramp.
Not a ramp.
Not the first year at all. So I did want to just call attention to that because it is fucking epic how it is epic how that place is just ripe for debauchery. And I have to say, No confrontations at all, but it did turn into this giant game of like a snipe hunt where, oh, the barrel racing is closed.
Right.
So after the first, like Friday night, the first interference, somebody was calling local security the goons. So after the goons had shut down the first barrel racing situation, people were like, oh, crestfallen. But then the must have fun instinct kicked in.
Good old American ingenuity.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, I like how the guys had the Rippers Row banners, and they were moving those like as with the group of people.
Yes.
So they finally were doing drag racing up at the top of the hill.
Yeah. I did go and participate in the hole shot contest that did find its way into the quiet family campground.
Yeah.
And that was our man Kurt Epprich's son who had organized that. So Kurt Epprich's son had managed to pull all that shit together and was doing an epic job of controlling it.
Yep.
So that when I pulled up on the scooter, the big 250 scooter, he didn't put me against something that was out of my class.
Right.
He put me against, CRF 110.
Did you, when you were up there and you were coming around, did you hit what I can only describe as a professional motocross track set of whoops?
Yes.
Like that one path that went down.
one
I was
path that
doing
goes
like
down.
40 miles an hour, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It was a rhythm section.
Yeah.
The other thing that I did find out after the fact is things had gotten a bit hairy out there with the speeds. The speeds had gone up, the speeds had gone up, the speeds had gone up.
Yep.
And one of Mid-Ohio's tactics, and I applaud them for this, to keep the speeds down is they sent the water trucks out.
A lot.
And the water trucks came out to put down dust that wasn't there.
Right.
But they were doing speed control. And so the water trucks made things soupier. How soupy, you might ask? Well, 3 of my You May Borrow This scooters got crashed
Right.
because it was soupy.
I saw a dude on a Honda Monkey
Yeah.
driving, and then he was sliding sideways. Like the whole bike was sideways, moving in the forward direction.
Yeah.
And somehow returned to forward. And he himself was like, what the fuck just happened?
And Sleepy was jealous.
I was like, that's a trick I've never seen before.
I wish the guy on the back row that goes downhill towards the trials riding.
Right.
A guy on a Honda Grom.
Yeah.
With baloney skins on it.
Yeah.
Just at the slowest speed, like it just went no. I'm not standing anymore.
I may have accidentally, with the intention of survival, overinflated the tires in some of the bikes we were running a little too much because we were waking them up. They'd been sleeping for a long
You
time.
don't want to run out of air midway through the weekend.
Not a bad idea, right? So in the essence of caution, in the preponderance of caution, I inflated the back tire on the Kimco 250 I was riding, the big People 250. Or as we like to call it, the big engine, because it is a red People. It was 36 PSI in the back. And when I went on my away mission Saturday night to go wrap up some final sales I was doing, they had just watered. And that road, the main road that goes, from the back campsite area past the barrel racing and whatnot, I had got on there. And as soon as I got done with the turn, I'm going along. I instantly, same thing, bike went sideways. I was like, what the shit? Like, what the fuck just happened? And I quickly then realized, okay, stay the hell off of the middle part, because the mud there had turned into that perfect lubricant.
Oh, yeah.
Get well to the sides, get well to the edges where the big gravel's out there to give you a chance. And
The one time you want to be in the marbles.
you know it. You fucking know it.
Well, the dirt's already been ground to a fine powder.
It was-
so you
Yeah,
add water and you just got it slurry.
It was amazing. That stuff was fucking creme brulee. That stuff was so slippery. And I was like, this is remarkably dangerous up the middle.
And speaking of dangerous,
Yeah.
you know how like the AMA, it seemed like everybody was kind of getting down on the barrel racing and stuff, which it did get a little crazy. But I witnessed something, and I almost caught it on camera, which, by the way, as you guys saw, a guy returned my lost camera.
Hey,
Unfucking believable. But anyways, I was filming, and I was talking to the thing about the hair scramble going by, and I'm like,
Right.
see, sometimes you get locked in here. You
Yes.
can't go.
You
It's
can't
just
go anywhere.
It's an aspect of Mid-Ohio.
Right.
And I hit stop,
Yeah.
and the hair scrambles were going. And the way they have it is the going in is that way, and the going out is this way.
Yes, it is.
Dude hit a bump, lost it at about 60 miles an hour.
Went into head-on traffic.
Head on and smashed a dude right in front of me. It was scary as shit.
That
man.
will never happen again.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about that particular part of the hare scramble, and I noticed that too when I was waiting in line at one point. I was like, Jesus Christ, these bikes are hell-bent for leather in both directions.
Separated by caution tape.
By caution tape.
That's blowing, mind you.
Yeah. And it is. So I did talk to a couple of people that were competitors, and they were like, man, yeah, we heard about that. That was frightening.
The dude, he posted on the. I thought he was dead. I thought because he wasn't a younger dude.
No.
He was probably I think like 50 something, maybe 60 or something like that. I think. But anyways, he posted and said like he broke some stuff, whatever. But he's alive. He's good.
The guy that was camped next to Tom and Becky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that dude.
The guy that was camped next to Tom and Becky, straight up hero dude.
Oh yeah.
He was out there campaigning a CR.
Yep.
About, long and short of about 1,000 miles an hour. But the class he was in when I went and watched had the following items in the class that he was sharing the track with. No shit, a TW200. No shit.
Yeah.
On factory rubber.
Good for him.
A BW350
Wow.
that was jacked up in the back to about the moon on very specialized suspension and probably the most overtly aggressive tires I'd ever seen. This class was made up of just legitimate fast bikes and the devil's rejects, right? I don't even know how the hell you would grid that. But he said that in his grid, in his group that launched, he said there were over 20 bikes.
Yeah.
Well, the track is 8 to 12 feet wide,
Right.
hence hare scramble. If you've got 20 plus bikes fighting for a position on an 8 to 12 foot wide track, there's going to be some rubbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he'd come back and he'd tell us, he's like, well, I either got fifth, or
right.
seventh, and
Yeah.
the numbers were everywhere.
And I knew we were in trouble as humans who might consider that. People are like, it's only a couple of bucks to register for the hare scrambles, and you're a competitor, and it actually is cheaper than buying a ticket. That kid dropped his tarp. That guy dropped his tarp, and he was 1% body fat.
Mm.
He was 1% body fat, cut like a fucking Greek god, and was beat to fuck.
Yeah.
That man had no energies left.
Yep. We kept offering him, dude, you need any protein, you need anything. We've got
He came
all
back
the food.
and he was 100% destroyed.
Yep.
And he's like, I got a half an hour, I got to go back out.
Yep.
Oh my god.
And I was
yeah.
like, there goes any shot I had of being like, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go do that. No, I'm not going to do that. I couldn't do one of that.
Nick made a half a lap last year, and he was
Not
tired.
even. He made one turn.
I kept thinking,
Ein turn.
I kept thinking, I was like, everybody's complaining about all the stuff like the barrel races.
Right.
And everybody's complaining about there's nothing, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to go out into the trials, and that's where the hare scrambles were and everything else. I was like, well,
Well, and on I can't talk on the online thing. I like how a lot of the older gentlemen that are complaining about everything
because that's what you do when you're old.
They tried to incorporate all the racing accidents into the debauchery,
Right.
And people had to be like, "Hey, calm your pipe, there, dude." Like racing is racing. That shit happens every weekend somewhere, and somebody's breaking a leg somewhere racing.
No.
So you can't equate that to the debauchery injuries,
Exactly.
which were two.
But that's
terrible.
there's no. You either have to compete, or you don't go on the track, and that was kind of something I was thinking about. I was like, well, what if you don't? Because when we raced, when we were in Ezra and Mass,
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about racing.
Right.
I just like being on the track.
Right. The idea of being on the racetrack, regardless of what position you come in, it's great to use the facility. It's great to go around corners super fast. Everybody's going the
Exactly.
same direction. It's relatively safe.
And
Next year, definitely doing the parade lap of history.
exactly.
I've never done that.
The one
I
at
can't
Barber
believe
is
I haven't.
amazing. So that one has got, like, if I'd have known it was going on, I would have run across the field to go do it.
But
there was a guy on a Polini.
I was gonna say,
little
guys,
tiny
and-
pit,
and
like
just,
any
I
bike
mean-
will do.
no, they say that it has to have dot tires, but I think they were being lenient.
There were 3 Colemans on it. There were Colemans on it.
man.
I saw Coleman
That's
go
why
by.
I didn't do it because everybody told me you couldn't because you had a thing.
Yeah.
But I did
Just
it.
like everything AMA Vintage Days. They don't check too carefully.
They don't care.
They don't check.
But a couple years ago, I did it, twice,
Right.
and it's kind of interesting. So you either can just ride it or you
Right.
participate in the race. So the race is pretty cool because what you do is for the first 2 laps, you hang right behind the leader dude. The leader guy is actually like a road racer. He's no joke. And usually, if you get that dude on the last lap, he puts the onions to it, man, and he takes off. So the trick is to try to pass that guy before the very end because he said, "Don't pass me." but it's kind of a wink because on the last lap, what is he going to do? Kick you off the track? So it ends up being pretty fun.
Right. That's that old rule about if you guys fuck up tonight, we're going to make you leave first thing in the morning.
Right.
Tomorrow's Sunday. Okay. All right.
See,
Message received,
see,
Captain.
nobody told me this. This was not listed in my itinerary.
You're not hanging with the right people.
Exactly, and I was hanging with you guys.
Well, no, but you didn't tell me you were doing it. I would have given you the lowdown.
If you give me an option to get on a track, I'd have brought my buddy.
You know, Matt and I tried to do it, but it's like his bike, he's riding the CB bike and it's stalled, and I didn't realize it. Or actually, he's riding the S65, and I couldn't find him, and it was.
Oh, really?
By the time I found him, it was past time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's funny because I was within like 15 feet of him 5 times.
Really?
And neither one of us saw the other person. There's so many bikes.
Yeah. And that's the thing about it is they do fill it up pretty good.
Did you get footage of Piper crashing in the barrel race?
I think I did.
Yeah,
I'll have to check.
We got to edit that. I want to.
Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom,
Yep.
boom, boom.
I felt
Blue
bad.
Monday edit?
Yes.
I felt
Yeah.
bad because and she was like, "Should I go?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got to." And then she was there. I'm like, "You got it, you got it." And she hit the loam, and she didn't. I mean, nothing. It was just like, bleh.
It was just
But
bad.
then I felt bad. I was like, "Oh, I probably made her go race."
I was happy to get in at least 3 laps on gangrene before
Yeah.
everything got shut down. So.
Yeah. The barrel racing is a very funny thing.
Wait.
People that aren't familiar with it don't really have an idea of what goes on or what it is, but it's not sanctioned. It's not organized. It's just a spot. It's
Everybody's
just,
like, well, why do all you guys want to do this barrel race? Why don't you sign up to race for real? Well, because I only want to do like 3 points. 3.5
Right,
laps,
we're gonna hang
and
out.
I'm done.
Now,
But that being said, before they shut it down, I think I have a world's first.
oh.
So me and John and Brad were sitting there.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
you know what? I was flying around with my FPV drone, and I was like, you know what? I see the barrel racing.
Right.
And I was about a half mile away, so I said, fuck it.
Yeah.
So I dove down, and they did about 25 laps at 2 feet off the ground with the barrel
It was
racers.
great. It's a fantastic bit of footage.
But
I mean,
it's-
absolutely fantastic.
But you know what the best part is I got the barrel race with
Right.
no chance of injury.
No chance of injury
now,
whatsoever.
I think one of the big problems is, especially with a barrel race, is that there aren't enough lifeguards. Because this is a swim at your own risk kind of situation. And
Yeah.
there's nobody out there going, hey, y'all are fine. Just don't do anything stupid. And the problem was too many people were doing too much stupid.
Sometimes it gets kind of organized, though. In past years, like they've actually gridded people. They've had women's only, which is
yeah.
fantastic.
But that's when they shut it down. It's
Yeah,
weird.
it-
Like when they organize it, make it more safer, that's when the people come in and shut it down.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't get to that point quite yet.
I think
but
it's
you know
I think
what?
a
You
lack
You would
of-
have seen
I
Saturday,
think
Saturday
a-
night usually is like pretty organized. There's a flag. There's
Yep.
you know.
I
I,
think
mean, it's
the
still
la-
it's a free for all, but it's
I think if they did two or like you, I think the big dirt bikes, the 2-stroke dirt bikes that are ripping like full on track stuff is probably a problem. Like and the bigger bikes. But if they did like
no, the only thing that's a problem is probably golf carting it and side by sides.
well, side by sides need to not be in the whole place. Period. We saw that.
Like I said, I'll stick with what I said before. Some side by sides, a little Kawasaki Mule, a little utility side by side that's not much bigger than a quad runner. I don't have a problem with.
How about
But when you
if-
have a full extended A-arm fucking desert rig that's
I think that
taking up 2.5 lanes. then
I
that's
think that
probably-
Swiggy was onto something from ClevelandMoto podcast when he said, all you have to do is determine what a golf cart fits through.
Yeah.
Determine an ambiguous measurement that is exactly one golf cart plus 3 inches on both sides, right? And if you take that one golf cart plus 3 inches on both sides, and if you put a guy with a post hole digger, and for this event, he goes out to the areas where you'd like to do these things and just puts those in and just says, okay, this is the campsite, right? If you're going to go past here, you got to go fit through these things. And it's just like Cedar Point. You must be at least this tall to ride this ride. Well, at least you must be at least this narrow to access the swap meet or access the barrel racing area.
and
or
that
whatever.
and they could even do a gate so that when the RVs and stuff come in, they can open it, and then when most of the people are in, they can put it down just to
Perhaps, yeah, that might be the deal.
Well, I've got a little since even Sleepy asked me when I was going into this. This is what's the difference between Mid Ohio and Barber, for example. And in Barber, you don't get to drive through the swap meet.
That's massive.
Yeah.
I mean, that is truly massive.
You do not get to at all drive anything through the swap meet period.
I'm going to call your attention to Exhibit A. I have pulled up Exhibit A. Now, if you look at Exhibit A,
There's a lot of smart people with helmets on.
so you'll see that there's quite a few people with helmets on.
Yeah.
Check.
Sensible.
You'll see a drag race going on the front straight between Ein Gator, John Deere Gator, and a golf cart that is doing a fully committed wheelie.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
means that there's people hanging off the back of said golf cart. 'Cause
Or it
does not
has
have
a
that.
750cc two-stroke engine.
Also true.
Does it?
I don't know.
Okay, well-
Did you not see any of the two-stroke golf carts running around, man?
Steve,
No.
absence actual data, I'm going to give you potential possibilities.
Okay, I'm in.
Now,
Right.
either that thing is overclocked and it's something spectacular, or there's 4 really fat guys sitting behind the rear axle
Right.
and it has no control whatsoever.
None.
Because if you look, his front wheels are crossed up.
Yep.
All right.
And he's probably bouncing on
So
all that loam.
he ain't going which way he wants to be going
No.
right now. In fact, you can see he's feverishly trying to not hit that John Deere Gator.
Right.
Right. That might be a problem with the barrel racing. And what I can tell you is if you look in the middle, there's a fellow wearing shorts who's not riding anything. See him?
Yep.
He's the guy that was doing our stop starts. So he would let the thing run for 197 million laps. And then he'd run out and he'd flag everybody. He'd stop you. And he'd stop us all up. And right here where the camera angle is, where the picture's being taken, we would line up 47 abreast. And he'd get everybody off the track. Once the track was totally clear, he'd get 47 people abreast. And then he'd rev you up. And then when his hands got up super high and everybody's going ape shit, he'd drop his hands. And it was one of the best hole shot races I've ever seen in my goddamn life because it was 50 cc's versus 500 cc's. And it wasn't necessarily who won you thought it was going to win. And going into that first turn, which for some reason that first turn turns into Satan's crevice, it is not smooth. It is not delicate. It is not banked. It is a trough cut exactly 4 inches wide. And anything that doesn't fit in that trough dies.
Yeah.
If you're not in the trough getting the berm shot, you are off into those people.
And credit to the young
the
kids.
crowd.
Credit to the young kids on like the 125s and stuff that were
Yeah.
so committed. The bikes
yeah.
were like 2 inches off the ground in that,
yeah.
just ripping it through that thing. That
And
was
Haley
cool.
Bell did the same thing. When Haley Bell was ripping on the TNT, every single corner Haley did on the TNT.
SSR.
No.
Oh, the
When she
TNT.
was on the Benelli.
Okay.
She had to stop riding the Benelli because every single fucking corner she was on the Benelli with the knobbies, she was burying her pegs. So her pegs were digging in. She had achieved such a great lean angle that sports bike style body that it has, the pegs were too low.
Yeah.
So she had to give up the Benelli. She gave the Benelli to Moyne, and she fucked off on the SSR because it's a dirt bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ran it out of gas and then some. I know. Like, you're out of gas. We've switched over to reserve.
Somebody got to marry
I know,
that woman.
I know, but she still kept going.
I know.
I'm like, we need to put some gas in. No.
Somebody's married that woman.
10 more laps later. I'm like,
Well, then she's pregnant right now.
No,
know.
I think she popped out the wheel.
Oh, she did?
I think. Or
Well, then somebody's
real
gonna
close. It's
that
one of the
child's
two.
going to be born with an overdeveloped right leg.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Prob-
kid's going to come out brap.
Whiskey
Yeah, it's not
throttle.
going to cry. It's just going to brap. Yeah. Right on, man. So that's cool. But this is what all the hubbub was. The hubbub was mostly barrel racing.
And then the rumor about it being a 14-year-old and stuff
No.
like that is not true. I mean,
No, that's what everybody
we
told
spoke with the
us.
officer the next day, and
Yeah.
she's like, no, it was an older guy.
Do you know one of the things that, and again,
Oh God.
But you know
Remember-
what? When I went down there, though,
Yeah.
there was a younger girl crying in the back of with the cop, and like it seemed like that dude hit her too. Though.
Oh, okay.
No,
maybe
there,
that's
there,
where the
there were 2
14-year-old
people
came
involved. is
from.
what
So she
I-
wasn't
what
the one
I
with the broken
understand.
leg. though.
No, I don't think she went to the hospital, but she was sitting on the back of a golf cart with people attending to her. And
can
stuff
I
like that.
just mention the numerous, extraordinarily positive interactions that we all had with sheriff's deputies?
Oh man, unbelievable!
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I did
the
not.
The stunt was amazing.
She almost crashed.
She almost crashed.
I saw
But I
that.
couldn't believe like that. She said overall, generally,
She was, so a sheriff, for people who don't pay attention, the sheriff's department from that county had purchased some ClevelandMoto quads. Big, giant,
Oh, yeah.
working quads, right?
And I was all into it because New Orleans, NOPD has just bought several side-by-sides from ClevelandMoto, and I wanted to know how these were doing.
Yeah. Apparently, marginal.
Marginal.
Apparently, not the most reliable thing in the world, but hey, it got her around.
Yeah.
So she was doing some stunts, and one of her stunts was she would stand with the foot on the seat, hands on the bars, other foot in the air. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
But then
One of my favorites.
one of my favorites, exactly, one of my favorites.
A classic.
But then at some point when she pulled in front of our booth and our camp and she was doing that, either she slipped off the throttle and onto the front brake or something. But that thing stopped short.
Oh, it did.
And the only thing that kept her from going to handlebars was she was smart enough to bite the fucking pad.
Yep.
She grabbed, she stopped her body weight with her teeth.
Yep.
Yeah.
She must have been doing some push-ups.
Well, one of
She got
the
it.
things
got it.
that she told us
got it back.
early on was that they stopped really short, really fast. And sure enough, that thing stopped really short, really fast as soon as she let
You
it
know
go.
what was interesting? I think the biggest part for me, seeing her and talking to her, was that she was like, well, yeah, except for one or two guys, the whole department is all in favor of having it remain nuts.
Yeah.
I
They're
think you're
okay
right.
with it. She literally said that.
I
It
do
was
think
great.
that we are a self-policing
Well, the
organization.
only time you freaked out was when the Ohio State Police came by.
That-
you were like, "Oh God!"
I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because the Ohio State Highway Patrol does have, they have the ability, they have the authorization to go anywhere in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
They are a state's highest agency, right? But Mid-Ohio is a private property event. Each one of us have a ticket. Each one of us supposedly have signed some sort of waiver to be there. And to have, I understand that
That
that's
was my domicile for 4 days.
Exactly. That's my residence for 4 days. And I understand that show of force
Yeah.
of having that silver charger come through there.
Yeah.
But is it really, when you have the giant 70-foot long Winnebago,
Yeah.
the tactical response Winnebago, that is the SWAT team of that county sheriff department, literally on site at that facility. They took over the ice cream stand area, the hot dog stand area, whatever. They took that entirely over now. And that area where you go between the infield to the outfield or the midfield is now a sheriff's department station, fully stocked. Rescue vehicles, the sheriffs themselves, that's their headquarters. That's where they have their golf carts. It's where they have their side-by-sides. It's where they have their sheriff's police cars. Going over the top, having the state patrol there, is this sense of, in case you thought you could work things out with the SO, the sheriff's department, we're here to remind you that there's a higher authority. And that, to me, is excessive. The state patrol brings a certain level of seriousness to something,
Yeah.
state troopers in general, and it does, to me, it increases the odds. It increases the stakes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe the dude is on duty. He's been to Mid-Ohio before.
Oh, I'm certain of it.
He's like, you know what?
I'm just going to go check this
I'm
out.
going to go do a quick drive-through
Yeah.
just to see what's going on.
So, but I used to be a police officer, and there's a thing called looking for trouble.
Yeah.
And when there would be when there would be a festival, when there would be some kind of, splinter fuck or whatever, music thing going on, right? And the SO was working it. They had a security detail and everything else. The one thing I didn't do was cruise the parking lot in my city department vehicle, because I will only give the impression that I am the governing authority.
I'm available if you need me. No.
No, that's not really what it says. What it really says is I'm superseding the existing law enforcement package that's here, that Mid-Ohio contracted and paid for or whatever, and I'm giving you over and above. I'm the thermonuclear alternative. Because whereas the SO, to the common person there who's just there to have a good time, the SO suggests, hey, chill out, friend. Settle down. We're all here to have a good time.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, can you come look after Sleepy? He seems to have had a few too many drinks. Let's chill this shit out.
Wow, if that's that way, we have got serious.
But you do see it, right?
No, I've been.
You get what he means by SO is sheriff.
Sheriff's
No,
office.
no, I get it,
Sheriff's
yeah.
office.
Just for the listener.
Right.
Yeah, for the listener at home.
Patrol invited in by the owners? Was Highway Patrol invited in by the?
I don't
AMA
think.
people.
I don't believe that.
Well,
You don't
that's,
believe so.
that's the
All
No.
thing is,
I believe that, Tom probably said, is probably right. He's a trooper. He knows what goes on there.
Yeah.
That's probably part of his patch, and he probably feels like it's a good idea to cruise through that place once every couple of days on these big superbike weekends or big super duper weekends to exert a little extra authority.
But let's talk about the difference between our friend
The state troopers,
the thing that he
windows were locked
up,
sealed, and the air conditioning was
Oh, yeah,
flamming,
he was
going.
he
Our
was
other
not-
friends,
Our other
was not
friends,
even friends.
talking, smiling, waving.
Oh, yeah.
the sheriffs were just like the cheeriest people, the nicest people ever.
Except for her like field officer, whatever, the bald fat
He
guy.
was fine.
Dude, we've ran into that guy plenty of times.
He was
before.
fine.
He might look like he's going to be a problem.
We've
but
dealt with him so many
he's
times.
extremely
Yeah, he was
reasonable.
laughing
All right,
to
all right.
himself. He didn't want to shut the burnout thing
No,
down either.
he was
you
fine.
could see he's like,
These-
I don't want to do this.
Well, no,
but
because that
These deputies are all very,
'cause
very sweet.
It strikes me that's like the one bit of chaos that's actually like endorsed by the AMA is that whole corner.
The whole corner, Kentucky Kickdown. I've been there. I've been there when the AMA showed up with a freaking 2-wheel dolly full of PBR.
Yeah.
You know, I think that idea of having people blow off steam in particularly sanctioned areas, or maybe not sanctioned, maybe acknowledged.
Acknowledge.
But you know,
Acknowledge
but
that.
also the captain, to his credit,
Yeah.
can really control that crowd.
Here's to Andrew Rates, by the way.
Yeah.
Andrew, the captain. Andrew is on the clock. Somebody said, "Do they pay him? Like, does AMA pay him?" They might. They should.
I mean, they should. Yeah. At
He
least for all the
provides-
gear that they bring and everything, right?
I actually talked with him a little bit. He
Yeah.
did get a little overwhelmed this
He
year.
did.
Like, he couldn't get near the burnout bike because everybody was like just
Well,
a
and
little.
I
that
believe
is
that-
a thing. It does need to be spread back.
He was like,
just
these
a
guys.
little
He's like,
bit.
he's like, they just okay.
Can I tell you something about
Lord of the Flies.
When Pete went up to do his thing this year,
Yeah.
and me and Liza and everybody were up there, the dude before him, I don't know what kind of tire that dude had,
Yeah.
but he lit that thing up,
Yeah.
and it smoked to the point like I had my shirt over my face, then my hoodie over my
special
face,
oil season tires.
dude, and then it got so bad that I was like, this is how firemen die.
Chengshin creosote 250s.
Yes, dude, I couldn't. You couldn't breathe. And then so like I listened to where the noise
Right.
was coming from, went the opposite way because you couldn't see anything, right?
Yeah.
When I finally cleared out, I looked back and Pete was still in there.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a rubber mask with a helmet with an eye like a hole like this big to try to breathe out of. I'm like, this dude's gonna die.
Being next in line at the burnout pit is not a good place to be.
Or at least stay back a little, you know.
But then if you stay back a little, 75
Somebody
people
will
jump
shake
in
it,
front of
yeah.
you. Yeah.
It's a hard one, man.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good.
I have my political reasons why I will not participate in burnouts. I did the flaming burnout with the V7.
Oh, I remember.
Because I was angry nobody had ever seen a flaming burnout before.
And it caught on, and it caught the
So
bike.
once we trained people how to do flaming burnouts, I felt like
no.
my job was done.
Sure.
Yeah.
You go out on a high note, and I will not go back.
Yeah.
But I don't. It would be like if somebody built a machine that just said, "Hi, put 25 cents in, hook your motorcycle to this machine, and this machine will do irreparable damage to your motorcycle.
Right.
The clutch, the chain, the transmission, everything. Just go ahead and put your motorcycle in it and press the button, put in a quarter and stand back and watch this machine take years and years and years of life off your motorcycle."
You know they have
Who is
trailers
this
that
guy
come
and what
by.
did you do with Phil Waters?
You know they have,
My game is to try to be the first burnout on Thursday before anybody's doing
anybody's
burnouts.
doing burnouts.
I always go over when there's no burnouts happening and like, well.
you
Do you know the right place for a burnout? Where nobody expects it. So if you have a burnout pit, not cool.
You know, Phil, they have trailers where you strap your bike to
Yes.
it, and it teaches you how to do a wheelie. Well,
Exactly.
it doesn't really teach you. You just got to
Exactly.
figure it out or you break it.
Right. Yes. That's same feeling.
Same feeling.
Same feeling. Yeah. Same feeling. You can't say I rode a 2-block long wheelie if you never left the trailer.
Right.
Right. You have a little thing that when you do the wheelie, there's a little audio track of girls cheering and taking their underwear off.
But to the credit of those things,
Yeah.
it does teach you the RPMs and like the feeling of getting it off the ground. Like
Sure,
there's some
sure,
validity to that thing.
Right. Oh no,
Yeah.
validity.
Right.
It encouraged you to take the next step and go sit on a quad and do a wheelie.
Right. Because
Go
like you
up
just
a hill.
Suddenly,
Just go up a hill.
and then
Just go up a
suddenly,
hill.
then
So
suddenly
just
you're
go up a hill. If you want to learn how to do a wheelie, do it uphill.
But it's the same
suddenly
way-
you're riding a side by side, and it's all downhill
It's
from there.
the same thing as when when my mom dropped the nickel into that horse in front of Kmart. It did not make me into a barrel racer, right? I didn't become a 100 jumper because mom dropped a nickel inside of the horse out in front of Kmart. And that's what the wheelie machine is.
Yeah.
The wheelie machine is the horse in front of Kmart.
It is, but I
That's
mean,
all
it
it
can
is.
give you a little throttle. Like it gives you some of the basic elements. Because I did one a long time ago, and like Sometimes if you've never done a wheelie, you think you got to drop a clutch at 3,000 or 4,000. You don't realize you got to fucking bang it up there pretty good to get it to come up on.
Depends on what kind of wheelie we're doing.
Yeah.
I did the one that they had at the motorcycle show, the IX Center. They had the Zero.
Oh,
So they had a couple of Zeros hooked to the strap on.
Which makes sense with all those clutches and everything.
Yeah, they had Zeros hooked to the strap on because the Zeros were basically, now it's just a whole different kind of
linear.
Yeah.
Kmart
Bouncy,
amusement
bouncy.
ride.
It literally is a quarter head. Yeah.
And the first time I got on it, you already start with the bike at like a 12-degree up angle.
Oh.
Like the way the bike is on the rig, it's already at a 12-degree up angle.
Yeah.
And so I got on it, and I was like, okay. They're like, yeah, you're Zero guy. Come on over here. They're setting the whole thing up. And so they had Zero strapped to it in captivity. The Zero bondage device. And it's just like, oh, you get on it. And I got on it. I just wicked it. And I wicked it, and it just went 12 o'clock way too fast. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that is not. Like, I ride Zeros all the time. You got to work a little bit to get the Zero FX to give you a good wheelie. You got to put a little bit of body English into it. And they're like, well, we can adjust it. What?
Okay.
Okay, we can adjust it. We can adjust it.
Safe word is range anxiety.
So they adjusted it. They cranked it down so the front wheel wasn't already at 15 degrees. They cranked it down to where the front wheel was like at 5 degrees. And I got on it and I was like, okay, whoop. Okay, instant, like way too fast. I was like, no, you gotta make it flat. Oh, if we make it flat, nobody's gonna be able to do it. So I was like, okay, make it flat. So they made it flat. They made it all the way down to 0 degrees. And I gave it the means. And I was like, okay, it just did its job, spun the wheel up. Because the roller they got it hooked to isn't heavy enough. Okay? So I gave it the beans, and then I gave it a bump wheelie. I gave it a bump wheelie, and it came up. And I was able to hold it and ride it out. They got straps on it. It ain't going over too far.
Right.
But the thing is, it doesn't actually go back far enough to be in the butter zone, the sweet spot.
Yeah, you're not in the balance.
And you're not in the balance spot.
Yeah.
So the best anybody could hope to do was just to run it against the straps. So they had the straps set. So the best you could do was just be to throw it against the straps, but you never got to the sweet spot. And that's why I was upset, because I was like, well, the sweet spot is a wheelie.
Right.
The sweet spot is everything about a wheelie. And if you're not in the sweet spot, you're not really riding a wheelie.
Well, that's
Then
what.
it would roll off then it would come off the roller though, because they have to keep it like this.
Yeah.
If it goes like this, then it would.
But you
suck
know,
under.
so what I actually did, I thought you were talking about something. I never did one of those, but so back in the day when I had Rider for Life, the Star Boys had their wheelie school.
Yes.
So I was out there hanging out with them and stuff, and that was actually pretty cool. They had 600 F2s.
I did that wheelie school.
Yeah, and
that was that was actually a good spending of money.
Yeah, because you know it had the thing attached. Like the first one had that 3-wheeled thing attached to the back, but you were still moving.
Yeah.
Like you still were doing an actual.
You're
wheelie.
still driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still driving. You can't overclock it.
No.
You couldn't overclock it. But if
you can
panicked,
mangle yourself if you
yeah,
really
but
tried.
if you punched out of it, it would just slam the front end down to fucking so hard.
Yeah.
But if you did overclock it, it would come right
those
back
bikes
down.
were like fork seals.
Fuck fork seals. Oh my God, so bad. And then the other wheelie school I went to used Bandits. We used Bandit 1200s.
yeah.
And that wheelie school, that had just one safety. It had one safety bar on it, just one safety bar. So you could go left, right, or whatever. You could fuck it up 19 different ways.
Did you see on Alibaba or one of those, whatever the site is, they have a thing now where it's this weird piece of aluminum that goes straight and then out like this with a wheel on the end. And so you put it on your back axle, and then it has a thing that clamps to your swing arm. So then you just have like a...
Oh, really?
And then you can set the angle of it. So like, I don't know. It's
Pretty, okay.
Until you hit it and it throws you to the right or left, and then you're
Did
hosed.
you see LT Magnato came past our booth? LT was one of our friends here in Cleveland. He had his gyro stolen, and they got it back.
Yeah.
Like the whole deal. He was rocking this little weird trike ATC confabulation thing out of
With like 1,000 cc's.
Yeah, it did have like a big 140 Piranha in
Yeah.
it. Too much motor for what it was. But then he had fabricated on the back of it. I joked. It was a $500 bike with a $1,000 fabricated Playmate cooler holder that also had some big ass rollerblade wheels on it. So if you overclocked it,
I think that's a commercial product. I think people make those for those things. Like they sell them like,
it's genius.
Yeah.
It's fucking genius.
Because that thing, you would kill yourself on that without that.
Yes, you would have a head injury instantly.
Yep.
But having it be not only a place to store your cooler, but also somewhere that if you did accidentally overclock a small ATC, it would just come right back down.
Yep.
So smart. Yeah, so neat. Saw many interesting things at Mid-Ohio this year.
Yeah.
Very many interesting things.
How about this? Who bought something?
Well,
Not me. Not John. Not Dan.
You fucking kidding me? Seriously?
Nobody bought anything.
Tom? You didn't buy nothing?
No.
I was the one guy who promised I wasn't going to buy nothing.
And you bought the most expensive
What the
thing.
fuck is wrong with you?
You actually
people?
looked at me. You looked at me and said, "I'm not buying anything this year." And
I did.
I looked at you and I said, "Well, there's a GB500."
And you were thinking about that, or then you got into the
or-
Bajaj. You had a boner for a Bajaj.
Now,
That was
Well,
a
the
ruse.
Bajaj,
Now-
that was
that was a
$500 worth of Bajaj. That
Now-
was a no-brainer.
Now,
Yeah.
Phil,
Yeah.
what did I tell you? If you didn't buy it, I was going to.
The Bajaj?
And I didn't buy. You didn't buy it, did you?
The Bajaj was a snipe hunt. I'll tell you about
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
Because you second guessed it, you should have bought it right on the spot. For
Couldn't
five-
have. Couldn't have.
Oh, for it.
He wouldn't have sold
I'll
it.
tell you why.
Yeah.
What?
I want to know how you came back and asked me if you should buy it. You should have bought it before you asked me.
You looked at me and said, "Should I buy it?" And I went, "Phil, if you don't, I will."
Here's the good news,
But,
fellas.
but
The reason I didn't buy it is my spidey senses were tingling.
uh-oh,
Something wasn't right about the entire fucking thing.
sounds right.
Okay? Something wasn't right.
It is one of our shadier friends. Yes.
There was something about the entire thing that was just too weird. It had $1,500 on the price tag, right? It had the guy's phone number, but the guy wasn't there. I know the guy who's the seller. It didn't seem like he'd sell that bike for $500. But it's mid-Ohio. Weirder things have happened. It's a bike that I had sold brand new in 2002 at my dealership. It had all the things that we did to that particular bike done to it and only a small handful of miles, like 900, 1,200 miles on the bike, whatever. The price had been marked down from $1,500 to $500, and it was Sunday.
Yep.
Right? So I'd gone to the booth, and I talked to Kevin about it, and he said, look, he gave me the name of the guy who's selling the bike. And I said, okay, I know who he is. That's fine. I'll find him if I need to. And I fucked off. I took pictures of it, and I fucked off. And I came back to the booth, and I was like, man, only a fucking fuckknuckle would not buy that bike. I got to go back and buy that bike. So I went back to buy the bike, but then the owner of the bike was actually there. So I went into the tent, and I went in, and I said, hey, I'm here to buy that Bajaj. He goes, oh, really? And I said,
I'm your fuck knuckleberry.
yes. And I said, I'm here to buy the Bajaj. And he goes, great, cool. And I said, cool. And I pre-counted a wad of
yeah.
500
Yep.
bucks out of my pocket. And I pulled the wad out, and I said, cool, here you go. Got the title, right? He goes, yeah, I got the title. Cool, there you go. He counts it out. He goes, well, this is $500. And I said, yeah. And the tag was still hanging on the bike. And I said, $500. And he goes, oh, man, that's Dan. Dan Hostick did that. Dan Hostick was fucking with me, and he put that price down. Do you know who was standing right behind him when he said that? Not Dan, but Luke, Kevin's young son. And Kevin's young son has a pretty decent no bullshit,
Oh yeah.
a no bullshit rule.
Wait, he's just like Kevin.
He's raised by Kevin.
Yeah.
And he looked at me from behind the guy who said, I didn't do that. Dan did that. And he looked at me and he gave me the international,
Nope.
pointed at him, and just threw him under the fucking bus. The man had dropped his price to $500, and then he realized that somebody was willing to pay it. He dropped his price too much.
Yep.
And then once he got it in his head, somebody else offered him something else. Somebody else offered him something else. He was going to close the deal, but he was an absentee landlord. He wasn't in the booth watching things happen. He wasn't in the room where it happened. So I think that what happened is he'd either made other deals on the side already for the same vehicle, or he just decided he'd dropped his price too much. Point being, wasn't giving him $1,500. The GB500 that had the Water Buffalo front wheel on it, so instead of having Honda's worst disc brake, or moderately worst disc brake, had the fucking disc brake of the gods, the GT750 Water Buffalo front brake on it, which is sexy. And on a GB500, it's sexier. That bike,
It was a huge drum brake.
it is.
Yeah, okay.
It's a huge drum brake. Yeah, Water Buffaloes came drum or disc. Drum is what you wanted. It looks great on the GB500, fills that front wheel up nicely, de-cheapifies the bike. He wanted $7,800 for the bike. Came with an MGO custom painted fairing to match the bike perfectly. Bike was beautiful, had all the factory turn signals removed, replaced with aluminum, cute little ones. Didn't have a ton of miles on it. No scratchy, no scrapies, looked great. And on Sunday, he was like, Phil, give me $6,000. It took me one coffee and one Danish to realize that I don't need a third GB500.
That's what I said.
Yep.
Yeah, because the one that you have has done a lot of miles.
You
in the
have
last
one in a
5
window
years.
and one stuffed away in a garage. Now what are you going to do with this
What are you
one?
going to do with the other one?
I'm going to ride this
know,
one.
Right,
boy.
this one, right? Yeah.
I feel that exact same way every time somebody stuffs a SRX 600 in front of me.
Yes.
I
yeah.
really want to own one until I got to kickstart the bastard 3 times.
Well, that's I used to feel about SR 500s.
Right.
Same. So instead, what I did was I bought the W650 that had been looking at me longingly from 40 feet away all weekend.
Dude, if
it was literally under the same tent as
It was
you.
under the same tent.
I was slobbering on that one too, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice bike, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's-
20,000 miles, engineer owned, has a Scott oiler installed on it.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's how you know you're dealing with an engineer. Fucking bike's
is-
got a Scott oiler.
It is hysterical looking at that bike,
Yeah.
though, and
Yeah.
then looking at my Thruxton side by side, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is
Yeah.
literally what they did.
That's
Like the
That's a bevel drive bike? That's
No,
what-
it is not.
Okay. What am I seeing there?
well,
Does the cam chain run up through that tube and down the other side of the bike?
Just a big
What you're looking at is called cosmetics.
cosmetics.
Okay.
Does the oil at least go up and down through the tube?
I have
does,
actually
yeah.
not looked at an exploded diagram of this thing, but I laugh every time I see
So
that.
it's a push rod motor.
No,
it's
it's an overhead.
it's an overhead cam.
It's
It's
cam chain.
Right.
It's right down the middle. That is the exact same motor as the T100 Bonneville. Like they literally designed it for. They literally designed it for Triumph.
Oh,
And it's like, okay.
Kawasaki made a Triumph that runs.
Well, your Thunderbird is a 3-cylinder.
yeah, it's not,
Kawasaki.
nothing. Yeah, right.
So that whole thing is nothing.
No, it literally is just that tackle. You're gonna pull up the diagram, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm not gonna. I'm not
I
gonna.
don't-
I'm not gonna go completely so far as to say that it's all bullshit.
For a bike that is trying to pretend to be a 68 Bonneville.
If it's not a bevel drive and there's not a shaft that which turns the camshaft, then it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's I'll bring. I'm gonna. It's very easy to bring up an exploded diagram of it.
it might actually ride the cam chain. I'm not
It
sure if
does.
it rides center on. It does.
It
Okay.
does. It does. It's not completely. It's not like the AMOL carburetors on a new Triumph.
Oh, yeah, those
right?
are my favorites.
That's not what it is. That's not what it is. It is functional. It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. It is functional.
Regular?
There's
Yeah.
one of those tucked in the back, kind of like.
What I will tell you is the funny thing is this bike has lived in
Colorado.
its whole life.
So did you have
And-
to? How's the tuning of the carbs?
It's CV. They're CV carbs. They're
Oh,
not
okay.
tuned.
All
Yeah,
right.
they're not tuned. The CV adjusts for the altitude. Right?
Gotcha. Okay.
That's how that works. So this is the system, just so you can see how it operates.
Thank you.
Yep. So it is running. So on the end of the cam, you'll see there's this wheel here. Oh, I should probably bring that up so you can see it, so everybody can get a little view of it. So the way this works, it is a bevel drive system. There you go. There's the motor blow up.
They
so you can
really
see
did
it.
put a bevel.
It is a bevel drive system. It's not what you think of when you think of a Desmodronic system or anything.
No, I didn't say Desmo.
Yeah,
It is a
it's-
bevel drive.
Right. It's
The
a bevel.
There's a shaft that goes from the crank
Yeah,
up
exactly
to
right.
the end of the camshaft with bevel
Yep.
gears on it.
Yep.
I
And it does
really
not have a cam chain or a belt.
Correct.
It has a shaft-driven
Yep.
cam.
That's exactly right.
So no, that's fine.
Somebody
I
was
enjoyed
dumb enough at Kawasaki to go, you know what we need to build? A bevel.
It's
Because you know what the worst thing about a Ducati bevel is? The bevel.
Yes.
it's
but,
not something. It is a throwback to a simpler time, but it is also not a high revving engine.
Well, yeah, if it's got a
there's
bevel, it'll
nothing-
strip.
There's nothing about it that suggests that it would be a high revving
And
engine.
it's a Kawasaki bevel drive, not a Ducati bevel
That's
drive.
also- that's a
huge
very
difference.
big- very,
I'm gonna
very
say
big
there might be
difference.
a bearing involved.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in case anybody does want to get knee deep in the guts of the whole thing,
Italians are like hardened steel. It do not look good. We
no,
need the
no,
soft
it no,
stuff.
it no look good.
it no look good. But anyway, that's
Chocolate
we will-
camshafts and
but
candy
we-
cane connecting
But we
rods.
will build a glass cover so you can see it operate.
yeah, that's true, and that is deadly sexy.
There is one.
Oh yeah.
No, on the Ducati,
Oh, for the
yes.
Ducati, yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
You need that for your bike.
Have you never seen a gear gazer? Oh.
Yeah. So that's
Phil
what
needs
that
a
is.
gear gazer.
It is a functional.
Ever
It is a-
anybody near the gear gazer,
See,
it's Phil.
as many of those as I've worked on, I have always thought, nah, they can't be that stupid.
It is, but that's the thing is I want to stress. It is not to Kawasaki what the bevel drive system is to Ducati. Okay? It is not the notoriously weak link. It is not the reason that nobody buys a W650.
Right.
I believe you.
Yeah.
You don't have to convince me. It's
No,
a
no, no,
Kawasaki.
no.
I'm
So Kawasaki, I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
I'm sure the reason why we only got them for like, what, 1 year, 2 years?
It didn't have a long run, that's for sure.
No.
1999 to 2006, apparently. Apparently.
But I
And
think
then
we
it
all-
went to the 800, right?
As long as you don't ride it the way you ride
Well,
things,
that's
you'll be
the-
fine.
Be fine.
That's the big question.
Be
Is
just
the
fine.
new W800, does it have the bevel?
I honestly couldn't tell you, but I think the answer is no. I do not know, but I'm going to find out in about
But the
one
difference,
internet.
The bevel is the devil.
and if you look at the difference, the 650
Bingo.
and the 800, it's like 5 horsepower.
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
It's not a lot.
No.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Here you go, guys. Yes, the W800 does have the bevel.
Really?
Show enough.
That is.
Show enough. Hey, look, it's a signature piece from the originals. It's
think
what
it
makes
looks
it what
cool.
it is. I think it does. I think it does make it look cool. I agree completely. I'm a big fan. What I can tell you about this one that I bought though, she's no run so good, man. No, there's problems.
Oh, dear.
Oh, no.
There's issues.
What kind of?
I was going to make you all ride it today, but I didn't want to throw you off your food. It is. Those carburetors are not playing nice together. It is just farting and snorting and pissing and moaning.
Need some
It is
sinky.
fucking. I mean, the
You know
needles.
what I have to say about that? I never met a carburetor that does deep
That's
clean.
right. It's exactly right. That is exactly goddamn right.
I could quote Pete as saying there were 0 issues, no issues with this bike.
Yeah.
So Pete, if
You know
you're
what?
listening,
Unless you try to ride it, in which
Unless you
case
try to ride
there's
it.
one big issue.
But wait, you're taking the word from Pete, who also was naked with a mask on in the burnout thing. I mean, he had other things on his mind.
I'm not sure that is really the guy whose opinion I would give.
I love this motorcycle, and I think I bought it the right way. But
yeah.
I'm going to assure you of this. It runs equally bad with the choke out as with the choke in.
Yeah.
And at the choke out is not right, and the choke in is not right. And choke halfway in between is not right. And at no point ever in the entire twisting of the gripping are both carburetors synchronously existing copacetically. So,
I have a Twin Max if you need it.
I also
very-
have a Twin Max.
very, very simply put, we're going to have to make an adjustment here. And I also think that I think that it's running California EPA lean
Sure.
on top of everything else. But I also think that she's about as far out of adjustment. But the good news is
What about the gas?
it's okay.
We have the technology.
We have a Parts Unlimited catalog.
And you got a Tom.
And in the Parts Unlimited catalog, there is something that is identified as the Dynajet kit
Yep.
for the W650. And then on every single W650 owner's forum that you are ever going to look at, there is required reading that is the DEPA defuckification of this motorcycle. And
remember
this motorcycle has not been defuckified.
I remember the big difference of when I bought the BV500 off
Yes.
you, and I was riding it home, and it was so nice, and I got off the highway, and it went, "Bleh."
Yeah, it died.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And I rode it some more, and it rode great, and then I stopped again, and went, "Bleh."
And it died.
And you said, do me a favor, open the seat, and
Yes.
does it have a big canny thing? And I said, yes, it does. And you
Does
said,
it look like somebody left a plastic
yeah,
beer can under
yeah.
there?
You said, rip all that out with veracity.
Yes, with maximum,
Get ya-
with maximum hostility.
Get you a couple of get you little caps. Put you right
Remove
on top
all that shit with extreme prejudice.
And guess what happened?
It ran great.
It ran
It didn't
amazing.
shut off anymore.
ran
You know?
great.
It. I actually screwed up. I'll admit. The GT. I know for a fact that every vacuum line of a 25-year-old Vespa is bad.
Yep.
And this thing
There
came
ain't a
back
good one in it.
3 times before I finally went, wait a minute.
You know
I'm
what?
being dumb.
Your mistake only cost him $300 in trailer rental and about 21 hours of his time.
Oof.
Yeah, that's all. So when you're there, replace them all.
Yeah.
Replace them all.
No, if it's 20 years old, replace everything.
Replace them all. There is no, this one looks good, I'm going to leave it.
Nope.
Well, that's what we were working on. We had a dude come in. We tore down an LS at work today, and it looked really nice and stuff. But the funny thing is the reason that the guy got the motor and they're doing this project is a dude took the motor all the way down and then did not replace the crank bearings.
Oof.
Like all that. Like he took everything apart, did all this stuff, and was like, "Oh, they look great. There's no copper showing.
What
We'll
the
just put it
fuck?
back together."
Are you kidding me?
Oh no.
Well, it's only
How many
been-
thousands of miles?
250,000
And
miles.
you didn't replace the crank
No,
bearings?
no. The guy, he got the motor off a dude because it started to have problems.
Okay, all right.
And the reason it has problems is the dude bought it originally, tore it all down,
Okay.
redid everything except for the crank bearings, and then put it back together, and it lasted 10,000 miles and had an issue. This dude, nothing terrible happened, but it was running like shit. The oil pressure was low because the oil was squirting through the crank
It's
bearings.
literally going through the crank bearings.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What was interesting is so we have a genius, this dude Brian Nutter, who is like,
Imagine being the guy that built that 10,000 miles ago, and now your shit's in the wind on television.
because you didn't spend $25.
$25.
Yeah.
10,000 miles later, your engine rebuild phase.
Right. But what's cool about this is that so he went and they have all the stock specs.
Yeah.
And so he measured everything because the rest of it is not damn or nothing's really
Right.
bad. So he got to see how much wear was on a 250,000 mile LS. It's not that much, man.
No,
it's
There's a reason they use them for taxis.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there's a reason that motor probably has existed since the 60s.
yeah.
The
Right?
only thing that ever kills anything that's powered by an LS is the automatic transmission.
Yeah, right.
Because when the transmission goes out, everybody goes, "Well, I'm not spending $3,000 to put that in my truck.
Right.
I'll just go buy another truck."
An LS with no modifications can be pushed to 600 horsepower, no problem.
Yeah.
Right. They're doing.
You don't have to even like just a stock.
It's
LS.
in a whole lot of work
They're
trucks.
taking this thing. They're throwing obviously new bearings and everything, a bigger crank, all this stuff. They're going to get 800 to 900 horsepower, and it's going to be reliable as shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's as much as everybody jokes, you LS swap the world.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's a good idea.
Right.
You know, it has been driving New York City taxi cabs for 60 years.
Yeah, I think this motor originally came out of a fleet vehicle, which is good.
sense.
It's funny people avoid those, but there's a dude whose job is literally to change the oil on fleet vehicles.
Yeah, but
what I mean? Like-
you know what I know about changing oil in fleet vehicles? You stick the thing down the tube and it sucks all the oil out. You stick another tube in it and it puts all the oil back in.
Well, but either way, whatever,
But it
man.
still is changing the oil.
But
Yeah.
yeah, dude, like this motor looked great. I mean,
yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah, no, that's they tore a couple of years ago. That you cannot find what is it the Ford Escape? You cannot find a reliable Ford Escape. But the Ford Escape hybrids, they were using them in New York City, and they had like 1 million miles of these bastards.
Yeah.
They pulled the motor down. The motor was fine.
hey, speaking of motors,
Speaking of motors,
Dead Guy Dodge made it to Mid-Ohio and back.
Dead Guy Dodge made it there and back.
And back. And
it didn't mosquito fog the entire place.
it didn't blow up. It didn't do anything. The only thing I noticed is I need CV joints. So I'm going to go see Shane and have him do some seat and tie rods because I don't feel like fucking with that.
I don't blame you. And you know what else?
What's that?
You're running that negative 5-weight oil?
Yeah. Well, no. So check this out. It's really weird. So Brian, this guy at work who is this motor genius, he said that most of the big trucks now are running it because it gets better. And he said once you're at operating temperature, it's exactly equal to what it was there.
Yeah.
Oil does not remove friction. It actually creates friction. Yeah. It just transfers the friction to the oil.
To the oil.
Right, but a lot of those surfaces ride on the oil, so that's what you
That's what
want.
I'm saying.
Right.
So what I'm saying is when you get less friction when you go to a lighter
It has
weight
to be
oil.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
It has
The
to be there.
the hypermiling guys with the Vetter Challenge and
Yeah.
stuff, those guys were like running like
A zero weight.
WD-40.
Kerosene, baby, kerosene.
Yeah, but it was that added to the adventure because I really wanted to get there to reserve our spot.
Yeah.
And so I got on the highway and I'm like, okay, so far so good. And then I put it on cruise control and it was just doing its thing. I'm like, yeah, baby.
So one of my friends that's always there, we showed up by the time we did breakfast, by the time we did the light duty loadout that we did at the shop.
Well, but if people don't know, it wasn't like you and your bikes were coming down. You had a complete carnival.
I had a complete entourage.
Yeah.
So I had two.
Including circus clowns.
75 yards or feet of footage.
So we had 75. I paced it off. We had 75 yards
Yeah.
of real estate, not counting Tom's camp.
Yep.
and the Biddles camp.
Oh,
right?
wait. And on top of that,
Yeah.
2 of the Nokomoto listeners donated 2 more spots to
That's-
Pete and Squiggy.
Correct.
Or Squiggy.
Squiggy.
Yeah. Squig.
So we did have an atrocious amount of space, but I will say we were tight.
Yeah.
We had a very extremely high density to our group.
So next year,
Yeah.
So we had a good tent city. You
We
bought 2
did.
and I
We
had the
slept-
1, so we had 3 of the summit tents. Next year we got to go for a 2-story building.
Man,
That's the only thing we can do.
Tower. We need our own tower.
We have discussed this behind the scenes.
I'm going to tell you that Kevin rented that tent that Kevin had. If you know who we're talking about, Kevin rented this. It was a tent like the captain has, right?
Yeah.
A tent like they have.
The big top.
The big top. So they rented that, and it's $650.
Right.
They set it up on Wednesday night. So when you show up, it's there.
Right.
It has vinyl sides that pull closed like garage doors.
Yeah.
You could sleep about 70 people in it.
Right.
The biggest mid-Ohio monsoon can't fuck with that thing.
Huh?
It is driven into the ground on fucking pilings, right? They said that during the monsoon that hit on Thursday night, that thing didn't wiggle, right? That thing didn't wiggle. We were hanging on to ours.
But it still didn't move. We were doing that out of precaution.
Well,
I think
because we've learned.
Now-
Yeah, but I
now
think
the-
we have
handled-
fucked around and we have found out.
The
it handled
Coleman I
great.
had,
Yeah.
the Coleman I had was moving.
Yes, it
The
was.
3 summits that you guys had did not move.
Well,
No.
I mean,
again,
they were kind of shifting, but they were.
You had that. You said they had that nice suspension system.
Yeah, the top.
Spring-loaded.
spring-loaded.
So you
tops.
could see it when the wind would hit them. It would go whoosh,
get
and then
shorter.
pop back
Oh, yeah.
up.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But because they weren't rigid,
Right.
they tended to not be so
Well,
airborne.
that took all the energy out of it smashing the thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's a brilliant thing. But I was just saying, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody has to do this, but I'm saying that if somebody were so inclined, for $650, we could show up and set up no tents, and we could leave and taking down no tents.
That's not bad either.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
That's not bad.
Yeah. I am the guy that brought the Thor Fun Mover garage and upper deck sleeping area for my 50th birthday to Mid Ohio.
Yeah, you could do that every year.
Yeah.
You do that every
Actually,
year.
my
That was a lot more than $650, John.
Yep. Well, now that I live in a commune, if you guys didn't know, my wife, I came home and there's just people living at our house now.
I saw that.
Yeah. So
Or
that
you
happens.
just occasionally have RVs show up in your driveway?
No, it gets
Yeah.
better. They're selling it. So that's the thing.
Oh, wait, you're entertaining fucking buyers
No.
at the Cinch compound?
No, they're taking it somewhere, and something. What I'm saying is that they're not going to have said RV in a few days,
Oh, they're going to become tenants.
and then they live in my house.
They become tenants.
Yeah.
I can Airbnb my RV over there if you want. Put it out there by the pond.
I
and
like
maybe-
that idea.
No problem.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
All I know though is that like I'm always worried about like, man, you know, Amy's gonna get mad if I bring this motorcycle home. You know, blah, blah. She doesn't care about bringing people home.
You know, this is not the giraffe you promised.
Right.
You promised giraffes.
Oh, wow,
You have
that's
people.
something.
This is not giraffes.
It would be fun. I cannot. The build in and the tear down.
Yeah.
The build in for me is part of the adventure. You guys watch me this whole weekend. All I do is pick up cans.
Yeah.
Right. I'm perpetually cleaning. Right.
Yeah, I think everybody had a good trash. We did good with all the
I think
trash
we did
bags
great.
and stuff. There wasn't one thing left when we left.
I think we did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
But the idea of building that FEMA camp, it's like it's a 4-hour episode.
Oh, easy, yeah.
And then tearing it down, that's where I'm the guy who's just like,
We figured it out.
yeah.
It took Becky and I 2 hours.
Yeah, you guys are completely self-contained.
From start to finish, to get everything done and included a 30-minute break in between to have a couple
cocktails.
of mimosas and
Yeah.
and it took us 2 hours to get the element loaded and fuck off.
I was looking for the U-Haul truck y'all rented because there's no way your entire camp fit in a fucking Honda Element. There's just no way. And you guys tore up, when you guys tore the system down, Tom's got it down to a science. He knows where every little item goes.
Yep.
But when he's set up, It's literally like a platoon-sized mess hall. Yeah, it's a chow hall.
Well, and like I said, next year Becky's planning for a buffet
Oh
line.
my
so
God, man!
we're gonna get Johnny Mac on this, and
Well,
Yeah, I mean, if she's gonna do all that, then
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I won't. I'll just let her do all that. I'll contribute.
this
to
is
that. I
you know
mean,
the white buffet tables with the sterno and the whole 9
Oh, my
yards.
God.
Yeah, no, we're thinking about that.
it's going to turn into a wedding.
Yeah,
Well, what's going to happen?
Probably.
Wedding reception.
Some guy's going to go, hey, look at that ramp.
I just blew everybody's eardrums out with a laugh.
I have brought full size grills down.
Yeah.
There, just
Oh,
left
yeah.
them. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's-
That's the power move. The power move is the garbage pick a full size grill.
We were talking
and
about
just abandon shit.
we were
Yeah.
talking about that. We were talking about looking for Weber's before.
I wanted a couch so bad.
A
I
couch
wanted to
would
go
be
to
good.
Marketplace and get a free couch and
Really?
put it on the trailer and tow it around with the quad. Just be like, oh.
That's not a bad idea.
Now that I know what I'm looking at here, this is a different thing.
Yeah. All right. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. If we get a tent,
Get a couple couches. Have a
Get a couple of couches.
I'll have a whole
Oh, yeah.
lounge.
Do you know
every
what-
ugly couch that's free in the in the Mansfield area?
This is not the
Set
first time
up,
we.
send the pickup trucks out.
do you know we're gonna be able to do that
Then
one?
we burn them.
We're gonna be able to do
I was
that.
gonna say this is
Then
not going to
one-
be the first time we've had a couch bonfire.
We're gonna be able to do that one time. One time.
you know what I
Because
am-
one time when those guys that picked up the trash on Sunday morning, their whole operation was designed to pick up 55-gallon drums of trash. You throw a wrench at them, right? You throw 3 couches at them. They're going to be like, yeah, you're going to have to take that over to the dumpsters yourself. You know, that's what's going to happen. We're
They'll
going
be fighting over who's going to take it home.
I don't know. Next year, though, I found out at work, DX Engineering has basically their radio antenna towers.
Yeah.
But you can use them as flagpoles.
Oh.
And they're whip and they fold down, but they go up to 40 feet.
Really?
So then we got to get a big ass flag and we got to fly,
Because
So-
we need more assholes in our booth.
So a couple of years ago, at
Hey,
Barber,
everybody that came to our booth was awesome.
Everybody was awesome.
a couple of years ago at Barber, my former boss
Yeah.
brought a electric smoker.
I had
that's
an
what he-
electric smoker there all weekend.
Yeah, you did. But that's
The world's smallest electric smoker.
that's
I
what
gave
he
away
did was
110 joints of that.
was competitive meat smoking.
Yeah, that's what they
And
call it.
That's what they call it. And at the end of the week, it was one of his old ones, so he just left it behind, and the staff did fight each other for it.
Wait, let's go back to competitive meat
Competitive
smoking.
meat smoking.
I'm still
Now that's a band name.
I'm still chewing on that one.
That's
I mean,
a band name.
I thought I saw that at a drag show one time. It was competitive meat smoking.
Oh, it's Ohio. You can't say words like that.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. And I said that in a positive way. That wasn't a derogatory joke, in case you were wondering.
I was considering that next year next year perhaps might be the year, since we have a whole year to stockpile.
Oh yeah, now we're planning.
shit boxes.
Yeah. 364. It's just like Mardi Gras.
I think we have a year. I think we have a year to stockpile shit boxes. And I think that we sold, I don't know if you guys know this, but I sold every bike I wanted to sell. Okay? And even one or two that weren't on the we got to sell these list. But I was like, well, we have enough bikes for the bodies that want to ride them. And then I sold the Green Buddy, the Gangrene, which was a valuable team player.
Yeah.
Right.
And so selling Gangrene was like, ooh, man, boy, that's a solid bike, right? That was a solid bike, and I hated to see that one go because that one did a lot of heavy lifting, could do a lot of heavy lifting. But then when the guys from Moto Hop bought the Aprilia, I made an announcement. I have just sold the Aprilia. I made the announcement. I have just sold the Aprilia.
That didn't stop a million
But
people.
that apparently didn't stop somebody or people from riding the Aprilia. And I think it was an innocent mistake. I think that Wendy and her husband Mike just didn't get the memo because they might have been doing something else.
Sure.
That the Aprilia Scarabeo had been sold. Because Mike took it out in the very slippery conditions and had an innocent tip over in it. But that was very cold comfort to the guy who had just paid real money for it.
Right. And his are buddy, too.
And he's our buddy, and the bike was pristine.
Yeah.
And I'm going to preface that by saying was
Right.
pristine. And so that was a little bit of a sad moment, sad trombone moment, because I know if the communication would have been better, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
I
You know
know
what-
that Mike wouldn't have taken that bike out and ridden it had he known somebody else had bought it.
You know what I noticed? And this was my fault, but I was kind
There
of
were
holding.
plenty of alternatives.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
If you just let me have 1 second.
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah.
Steve, I hate to do this to you. But let that be a lesson to all. If you buy a vehicle take the fucking keys.
Absolutely.
You bought the vehicle, you own the keys.
Yep.
If you leave the vehicle after the point of purchase, if you leave the vehicle surrounded by fucking hyenas, don't be surprised if it gets ridden.
Right.
Take the keys and relocate that sumbitch out of the line of sight. You saw a couple of years ago when I had my Benelli, or I'm sorry, when I had my TNT, my SSR 125 there, my white one. You'll saw, and when I had the Sherco that put a hole in my leg. But when I had that, you'll see that I didn't put it in the lineup.
No, that's what I didn't either.
I had that shit way back over by the fence.
Yep.
You had to fight through me and a trailer to get that bike.
Right.
Consequently, after 1.5 days, I was the only one with a clutch lever. Because somebody went through our camp and crashed every SSR.
Yeah.
Right? Whose SSR survived the weekend? I know
time?
yours didn't. Dan's bike, your shit got busted, right?
Yep.
But not by you.
Nick's bike, which is probably the most ridden SSR,
Yes. Yeah.
still has the original clutch lever, I believe.
I don't know, dude. I think my green one. I have about 2,000 hours on the green.
Yeah, fair enough. But the point is, there was a few years ago, where everything single SSR, you'd think SSR made the clutch levers out of fucking, angel wings, feathers. No, it wasn't. We had a fucking gremlin running through our camp who'd take off with an SSR and come back with a broken lever.
You know, and the thing that you can do with those, and they're $30, and then you never have to worry about that again.
The flippy dippy levers.
No, the bark busters.
Yeah, bark busters. Yeah.
You can throw them on the ground all you want. You're not breaking anything except for yourself.
That's true. Did you have bark busters on the Bukowski?
Yeah, that's why it didn't break when I did my high side.
Nice.
My super cool low side to the high side.
Dude, that was the best. You were like sliding into the camp. You're like, check me out.
Yeah, look at me.
I heard you put the power on.
Yeah.
I'm like, Steve's coming in hot. Locked up the back tire. Lean angle.
Perfect slide.
Power skid.
He had it till he didn't.
And then he didn't.
And then
have
I
it
tried
anymore.
so hard. I pushed so hard to keep it from going over. And
Boy,
it
you
wasn't
did.
happening,
and I
man.
saw that look on your face when it started to turn into a high side.
I was like, shit.
You just made the O face.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
So do you think that Mid-Ohio puts the big chunks of asphalt out on the roads on purpose?
You're riding along, and then all of a sudden, there's a 9-inch Dutch oven sized chunk of fucking asphalt.
I kept hauling those out of the middle of the aisle, and I was like, well, how did this get
Where do
here?
they keep coming from?
Right. I think they need to redo them. They're starting to break down into small pieces. They need some more bigger ones and slow people
Giant
down.
cow chips out there. Fucking hell, man. But it is phasey. I didn't know anybody could achieve 100 miles an hour between ClevelandMoto Corner, Kentucky Corner, and our campsite. Yeah. But I saw it happen several times.
Oh, yeah.
Several times. The amount of people that had extreme velocity on within 75 yards.
My favorite was at night during the burnouts. Occasionally, like it's pitch fucking black. The dude doesn't have a headlight. He has what can only be called a pen light.
Right.
Duct taped to his forehead.
Yep.
And he's going 130 into the darkness.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, all right, man, you go.
I catch and released about 30 water balloons into the burnout pit.
Nice.
From maximum Phil Waters' effective range of a 50-year-old man that used to throw grenades.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't have great accuracy, but I have solid consistency.
There you go.
And once I got my range, I'm going to drop them in, not a pickle barrel, but maybe a 55-gallon drum. And Becky was backing me up, and Becky she was nursing 5 or 6 water balloons at a time. And I got one of those things from Aldi where you put it to one thing and it inflates 50 water balloons.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
My daughter
how
had
big
those.
they get.
They're really cool.
It's really efficient.
Yeah.
And so I did those, and I was just sending them, and just randomly sending them. And the fun thing was when you send one into the pit, there was that moment of "fuck you," but then other people would be like, "No, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. You need to send more. You need a garden hose because that shit was thick."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why anybody would stay in there. The captain, Andrew, has got 47 different types of emphysema right now.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no way he's not sick.
No.
Yeah, it was crazy. He goes, the quote of the evening was, after Pete had gone, right? He was trying to resurrect the event. And I heard the phrase that pays, "Y'all are making it pretty hard on the captain this year."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's Andrew telling the world, hey guys, pay a fucking attention, man.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
pay attention."
Well, there was some good the dude with the, I don't even know what you call it. It's a Honda 2-stroke that looks like a Galaxy 500, but it's like a 250 or a 125.
A Galaxy 500 is a car.
No. What's the 2-stroke race bike? It's not the. It's,
An NSR?
No, it's something
Gamma?
like Gamma 500,
That's
whatever.
Suzuki,
Galaxy 500 is a Gamma
Sorry,
500.
but it had the back. It had the back thing, like with the exhaust coming out.
Oh
the
yeah,
back.
it was an
really-
NSR. Is it an NSR?
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't an NSR.
It wasn't an NSR.
No, it was either like an Interceptor. It's some weird. I've never seen.
But it was a
before.
two-stroker.
It might
Two-stroke.
have
And
been
it had two little exhaust systems.
Two little
That's a
sticking up-
JDM import.
Okay.
NSR
Yes.
250.
NSR 250. He was running it around.
All right. Well, it had a different name on the back, so I mean, whatever. But
different names,
anyways,
different markets,
But
yeah.
so he started to do the burnout,
Right.
And it caught, and it launched about fucking 15 feet into the air, into the crowd in front of him. I've never seen a small bike go woof and just fucking wail into people. Yeah,
The video's out there.
yeah,
Is it really?
yeah.
That's fierce.
Well, that's the first thing I kept telling Becky. I was like, "Do not stand here." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "This is where it's going to go.
Yeah. If they
This
lose
is where,
it,
when they lose it, the bike is going to go."
yeah, if said tire that is spinning without traction gets traction,
Oh, yeah.
that momentum has to go somewhere.
That board that John launched,
Yeah.
I've seen Hurricane. I've seen two
That-
befores.
That really
Yeah.
makes me sick to my stomach because that's the last thing I wanted to happen. And the last thing I want to do is come home from Mid Ohio with a lawsuit. And that was
having a bad time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was, I mean, not for nothing. Holy shit, that board got up and moved.
Well, you know what's weird about your bike, your 250?
Yeah.
You were right. That back tire, he had like a 765-year-old tire on the back of it, and somehow it had grip.
That is some weird rubber fucking chemistry going on
usually
right there.
once it lights up, it lets go, and then you're good. You can
right,
just, I
right.
can do this all day long.
Yeah.
No, it fought right into the
Yeah.
fucking ground.
Yeah.
Like, it just wanted to fucking, and that board has 1/4-inch grooves in it.
Yeah, it ate
We're
the
fucking
wood.
burnt down through. I mean, like if I'd have stayed on it, I could have burnt through that board.
Yeah, you
there's
probably
no
could
doubt.
have. Yeah.
No, there was fire. That board had made the chemical transition from wood to charcoal.
And the tire is not worn at all.
Nothing.
I'm like they're still square blocky treads. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on with this?
Yeah. The bike y'all saw, I mean, I'm not that anybody gives a fuck, but the bike that you guys are talking about went past the booth several times, and it's a Honda NSR 80. It's a JDM import.
Okay.
I'll pull up some pictures so you guys can take a look at it, see what it looks like, because it is a really cool bike. It's a really, really neat bike along the lines of the YSR 50 and the
Yeah,
YSR 80.
but this
same
dude was
thing.
just beating the living snot
beating
out
the
of this
fucking
thing.
tar out of that thing. I mean, just giving it no fucks. I didn't know he launched it.
Yeah.
I had no idea he launched that thing because it's an adorable little bike, and it gets all the.
Well, see, his tailpipes came through the back.
Steve, they made them for more than 1 year.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you want me to, I can
No,
show
that's
you.
fine, that's
yeah,
fine.
I can show you the picture of the ones that were the tailpipes come through the bodywork. But yeah, so they.
Okay.
Yeah, his did have the ones that kind of come up under the bike, but that's that particular year. The two holes in the back is usually the dead giveaway, the JDM models.
Gotcha.
But the really super cool. It pains me to see some of the priceless shit that was there get fucking keel hauled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about
some-
the dude that wailed into like the $30,000 bike up at the swap shop? You hear about that?
No, tell me more.
I just heard tidbits.
The guy, blue shirt, man bun.
Blue shirt man bun.
They were searching for blue shirt man bun guy.
What?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Are
blue
you
shirt,
talking about?
blue shirt man bun guy was riding, any number of shitbox fucking bikes.
Right.
Fucking was doing what you do when you're an idiot, and then fucking looped the bike into a fucking display of all the Japanese JDM big time shit.
Oh god, the place with the compos.
I
kidding?
can't verify. I don't know where.
Every compo had a $6,800 price tag. There was
$69.95. Apparently, this dude's bike landed on the $38,000 and whatever the fucking race bike is.
Oh, ouch.
Fuck, man.
And he just got up and left. He didn't even talk to the people or do anything to try to rectify the
That's a
situation.
tough one. That is a tough one.
So if you were blue shirt man bun out there,
Oh
people are
my
hunting
god!
you. actively
Look,
right
Sleepy found his phone. They'll find blue shirt man
That's
bun
true.
guy.
Yeah,
my camera. Shout out to the
found his
guy.
camera. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, found his fucking camera, and that's the right event. I swear to God, somebody, the guys that bought the Navi off of me.
Yeah.
The guys that bought the Navi off of me, they're Christian Motorcycle Association people. This is their first time there. They'd never been to that kind of an event. And they work a lot of events, but they'd never been to that one before. Something
Ooh, the Navi can hold a lot of those
so
wafers.
fucking crazy. Yeah, you can,
You
right?
had to go to church.
Body of Christ, body of Christ, body of Christ, all the bodies of Christ for all my friends. But so as I was unloading my shit out of the Navi, I was also unloading some of the shit that was in some of the other the bikes we were selling. And I mean, these people bought that bike hard. And by the way, how bad do you feel if you're the guy that was trying to hustle me for an $1,800 deal on that Navi? And then the guy who said, I'll give you $2,000 for it. That guy said, I'll give you $2,000 for it on Sunday if you still have it. And gave me a deposit. And he got blown out of the water on fucking Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Right? By people who were straight up like, take my money. That is a brand new fucking Navi.
Yeah.
Take my money.
Well, that was the one guy came up and he was like, man,
I'll give you $1,500.
Yeah, he's like, they're new, they're 18. And then you were like, well, what about
Right.
all the other fees that I saw the fucking
find
list that was
one.
$3,980 out the door.
Clearly, sir, you've never purchased a motorcycle before.
There was one
Right.
there was one in Medina that had been dropped
Yeah.
on Marketplace.
Yeah.
No damage, 300 miles, just like yours.
Right.
1,600, and before I could hit, hey,
Yeah, it's gone.
it was gone.
It's gone. It's gone.
There's
well,
one
I
at
sold it for
twen-
$2,000.
Yeah, and there's one at
No
23.
questions
It's
asked.
been there for 2 weeks.
Happy people. But one of the things I was kind of clearing out when I was clearing shit out, I found a cable lock. There was a cable lock under the seat of one of
Oh,
them
yeah,
scooters.
yeah, that one.
Just a little cable lock, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Cheapo thing. It was free.
It came with gangrene.
It had a key. It had a key and a cable lock. Yay.
Yeah.
So as I'm giving the people the bike, right? Because I told them I'd really rather keep this bike till Sunday and sell it to you on Sunday. And they were like, that deal doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
We want to ride it now.
Yep.
This place is big. Have you seen this place yet? It's huge.
Yeah.
And they were not the people that like to walk a lot. So I said, great. So then as we're going through things and we're doing the deal, signing paperwork, he goes, that lock, can I give you $10 for that lock? It was like the time the guy bought the chain off of us for the Trail 70. It was just an asset we didn't even know we had.
Yeah.
But it was an asset that was so important. He goes, yeah, because I'm going to lock this son of a bitch up for everywhere I go. I was like, we left 26 bikes in a row last night with the keys in them.
Yeah. Literally.
Yep.
We are the opposite of security.
Yeah.
It is seriously, walk up to the campsite and take a pic.
Yeah.
Just grab a bike, fuck off with it. Please bring it back in the morning.
Yeah. In one piece, more or less.
Because we do. I couldn't believe when I went to bed on Friday night, I was like, we just left the keys in every goddamn bike.
I left the keys in his KE 100 at
Yeah.
the swap meet, and you
Yeah.
were like, "Where are the keys?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"They're in
in
the
it.
bike."
They're in it.
Well,
I
both
left
of
I
all-
thought you were there.
I left all my keys in my bikes
know.
there too.
Best way not to lose them is to leave them in the
It's
bike.
That's
Leave
what
them
I
in the bike.
I sat there on Saturday or Friday.
Friday or Saturday
When I had the bikes up at the booth, my bike's up there, and I was gonna take the keys out. I'm like, if I take these keys out, I will lose
They're
them,
gone forever.
and then
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
never get these things. I was just, whatever.
And now think about that. Translate that to any other part of your life.
Yeah.
People column lock their bikes in front of my shop, in front of the service department, with the door open. People looking at your bike and they column lock it. So when Tom or I go out to move it,
yeah.
it's fucking column locked. And we got to go all the way back in and find their paperwork and get the keys. And we're like, son of a bitch, column lockers. But we are fucking leaving keys in bikes where there are 40,000 people walking around and we only know 38,000 of them.
Right.
Right? Oh, man.
But you know what? I did notice this year, and it depended.
We might
So-
be asking for it.
But I think so. In the past, right?
Yeah.
You'd see a bike that was at $4,000, and you knew the guy wanted 2,500.
Yeah.
This year, I didn't sell shit, and I wasn't. I mean, I wanted a fair price, but I put a higher price on it.
Right.
Nobody negotiated. The guy came to me on today on the fucking thing. He was like, "Hey," he goes, "I saw you had that bike, but it was 35. It was a little high." I'm like, "Yeah, I started with the fucking price that I could come down from."
Exactly.
He's like, and then he goes, "Man, I would have taken it for 28." I'm like, "That was my fucking price. You should have fucking said like,
Cool.
hey,
Do you want it now?
yeah." But like, what the fuck,
Well,
man?
you were down to a price on the KE that Becky and I were looking at it going,
Honestly.
well, we
Yeah.
could just buy that.
That's
Right.
why I couldn't let it go
The
for that.
KE was a sore dick deal.
Oh, yeah.
The KE was a sore
I rode
dick
that from
deal.
the top of from the swap. I hate Kickstart. Well, outside of Vespas and
Oh, that
Lambrettas,
bike is
I
barely a Kickstarter.
hate Kickstart bikes.
Yeah.
That bike, you barely kick it, and it's like, let's go.
If you
Yeah.
get on that bike wrong, you might accidentally start it.
Exactly. And I rode it down, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I wicked it. And I wicked it, and as soon as I wicked it and hit the power band, it's like, oh, we're going.
Yeah.
It's a happy little bike.
Oh, it's happy.
It's a really happy
And I
little
went,
bike.
this I could get
And
into
it looks
this.
great.
Oh, and it looks
If the
great.
It's got a $3,000 paint job on a $1,000 bike.
Exactly.
The kid, if the kid that offered me the money He offered me like $750 and a go-kart.
Yeah, that deal.
It was almost there, but then John asked the right questions.
Yes.
And he's like, well, the handle broke off the pull start. And I was like, well, that's cool. I can fix that.
Nope,
and he's like, well, and the pull start really doesn't work that well. And it needs tires and an exhaust and brakes.
And now you're just hauling trash.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
How was that just needs one little part Coleman you bought? Because what Tom's
I
Well-
noticed that it
well-
wasn't at Mid-Ohio.
Well, okay, this is my fault. This is truly.
neither of the Colemans.
This is truly
Yeah.
my Coleman is my fault, and I will admit this because I posted on Facebook that I bought the torque converter, and the torque converter I bought came with a sleeve because you go from what is it 116 millimeters to 1 inch.
1 inch, yeah.
Because that's the way it works. Well, I decided that I didn't like the oil when it came out of the Coleman motor. It's a high sun 196 cc or some craziness. So I went ahead. I was at Horror Fraught, and they had the 224. Because you buy the 212 or the 212 Ghost, blah 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 blah. If you want all the crazy stuff, or you just go to the 224 and it's got the same horsepower. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll buy that. Threw it in the bike, started up, had it running perfect, runs great. Go to put the torque converter on. Oh, it's got a 3/4 inch shaft. So I'm like, all right, last ditch effort. I buy a sleeve off Amazon because they'll ship it overnight. Gets there, instead of having the two keyways like the sleeve that comes with the torque converter, it has one sleeve, and the keyways don't line up. And I'm like,
Not even at all.
not even at all. Well, no, it needs two keyways
Yeah.
because the torque converter has a keyway and the crank has a keyway. So to get the sleeve to work, you have to have one and then the other one. And I'm like, great.
So his Sordic deal, Coleman, that can't be beat,
Yeah.
just has one small issue. Was like that Yerfdog cart
Yeah.
that has
Yep.
just one issue.
Right.
That you're gonna get that Yerfdog and realize it's got more issues than Time Magazine.
Right.
That thing's got
Well,
rat
I
fucked.
bought my issues. I knew what I was getting into. I didn't care. I'm going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, most
But-
used chainsaws
No.
are not a good value.
No.
Except when you buy them from Dan.
And if I look at your Coleman sideways, you yell at me. So
That's right. Leave your fucking hands off that
Yep.
thing.
You got to stop calling it a Coleman, though. It's the U-Haul bike.
Well, the
U-Haul,
U-Haul bike
U-Haul.
didn't come because at the last minute, well, first of all, I made the decision to not bring 3 trucks down.
Yeah.
I brought the van and a big ass trailer, and I brought the white truck and a U-Haul trailer. Right? I figured we could sleep in the U-Haul trailer if we had to.
That's enough.
That's enough.
Yeah.
If I wanted the Coleman, I could have brought the red truck and a Kendon
Yeah.
and brought 6 more bikes.
yeah.
Turns out we didn't need 6 more bikes. Plus, we had older truck to move and all that other bullshit. Turns out my definition of keeping it simple was to only bring 18 bikes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. Because we threw 2 SSRs in on top of Liza's sidecar rig at the last minute.
Oh yeah, because I looked up and you brought up the SSRs. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah.
Wait, this wasn't even. Am I gonna have to PDI bikes? And sure enough, I had to try to work on the.
And
blue
one of them didn't work.
Right.
So, like, of the 2 SSRs I brought, one of them was
So
rat fucked.
I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah.
So you've sold several of those. Probably,
my God,
like
yes.
100 maybe?
A lot. Yeah, a lot.
Have you ever had that was the first
I had
one
one
I've ever
other
seen.
one that was a no starter.
Okay.
And it was a coil, a CDI problem.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I get 2 minutes ahead of myself, I'm gonna pull it in the back and figure out what it is.
That's fine. We knew that the SSR people were going to be there, QJ Motor.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know was that they weren't going to bring a single fucking SSR. Their entire booth was QJ.
Yeah.
Had they or me brought half a dozen SSRs, theoretically I could have had a slasher sale and sold a bunch of them for $1,000 a pop.
Right.
Turns out no, though, because we had the ones that we had marked at $1,000 a pop and nobody bought them. So
Yeah. But did I have a big sign? I would have had a sign. Like, I think.
we didn't have a sign because I got tired of entertaining low money, no rent bitches.
Yeah.
No, Phil.
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah.
You haven't told the most important story of the week.
What was that?
Negotiation.
Fucking, yeah. Steve brought it up.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 years ago, I took a hard stance. 10, 15 years ago, John remembers, I put everything in my booth. I priced a dozen bikes. The best fucking price we could cook up. I mean, the legit, intelligent, well thought out fucking price. And we put on there firm. Don't negotiate. Don't even ask. We've done the negotiations for you. And we put the price on the bike. SR 500 running with a title, $950. It looked great and ran great. Ride it around all weekend, $950. Firm as hell, printed on the pie plate. Firm as hell, don't even ask. You take $450? No, dude.
Now
it
it's
says
$1,000.
firm as hell.
Yeah.
The reason we did that is because Mid-Ohio had been overrun by young people that don't know how to negotiate. Okay? So we had such a bad time trying to sell the bikes firm as hell. The price is what the price is. That we gave up on the concept. We had the concept. We were 10 years too early.
Yep.
Okay? We tried the concept out. It failed miserably. We went back to Mid-Ohio pricing. Price it for double what you want, double what you'll take, or in that ballpark, right?
Which has always worked up until this year.
Well, it turns out here's the thing. We had these young gentlemen show up.
Yep.
And this is in our podcast. But anyway, young fellas showed up, all with the super cool Pit Viper glasses on and stuff. Super sexy little guys. And they all showed up and they were just like, what's the lowest you'll go? Fuck you. Don't ever ask me that question. Because if I can't say something like, well, what's the lowest it'll go?
Well, we told him to on the podcast.
Exactly. Thank you. Don't do that. You walk up, you look at the bike, you say, hi, Tom, I'd like to buy that bike. Great. You know what? I think I really want to buy that bike. Great. You know what? I would pay $800 for that bike. The man selling it has a pie plate on it that says $1,700.
Right.
But I would pay $800 for that bike. So you would either open at 6. If you want to play the game, you can open at 6. Or you can just come at him hard with, I'll give you $800 for that bike.
Right.
You might even throw a little caveat in there. I'll give you $800 for that bike if you can make it run right now in front of me and produce a title and a key. You could even do that. It puts the seller on the back foot and gives the buyer 100% of the power. Wouldn't you like to have 100% of the power when you're in a negotiation?
Right.
For sure you would. But here's what gives you 0% of the power. What's the lowest you'll go?
Right.
Fuck you.
My
That's as low as I'll go. Lowest I'll go is wasting my time talking to you, you little fuck knuckle. Get out of here.
My favorite thing ever is putting a price on something and somebody looking. This has happened at Barber a couple times, and they'll come up to you and go, "Well, that's too high." You know, I'd give you this, exactly what you've just said.
Yeah.
I'll give you this,
Right.
and I look at them and I go, "Okay." And they're like, "Fuck."
Yeah, exactly.
The best thing you can do
Right.
is for someone to look at you and go, when you're trying to sell something, and go, "Fuck."
Right.
Because that means you got what you wanted.
Exactly.
And they didn't think you were going to take it.
Y'all just found each other's sweet spot.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's magical when it
I mean,
happens.
I got it. Half the time I get it for free anyway.
I told the kid, I was like, look, man, you come back on Sunday,
Oh, yeah.
tell me $400, you're walking away with this thing, right? And I said, so now let's play it out again. Let's do the deal again. You know, I didn't tell him about that until later. But I told him, I was like, this is an $800 bike. Let's role play it again, right? I said, let's play it again. Okay, do it. And the younger kid was like, all right, I'll give you $400 for it. And I said, yes, you will. I will see you on Sunday. Come back on Sunday and get it. He wasn't expecting that.
No.
Right.
But he got his price, right?
Yeah.
And if he was willing to wait till Sunday to get the bike,
Yep.
he can do it. Now, maybe that'd be a great opportunity for him to say, okay, how about $450 and I take it today?
Right.
Yeah.
Because honestly, he doesn't know this. I would have done that.
This is the learning curve.
I would have done that.
This is the
But-
whole learning
but
process.
don't be
when you're
angry
young.
when I read the fucking Facebook of all stupid things. You know what? Facebook shouldn't be involved in a vintage event. Right? Why? Because vintage events should only involve the kind of communication that existed when the vintage event was a new event,
Right.
which means letters. Maybe telegraph. We'll see you, Chris.
you.
Cheers.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah. People being angry on Facebook about vintage days, dude, that is ridiculous.
Well,
That
yes,
is like being angry about
it-
technology.
it
The best thing was the guy that said, if you weren't actually there this year, then get the
Right.
fuck off the thread.
That's
Oh, yeah.
also true.
That was
but-
good too.
Well, you know, somebody finally came up and said, look, if you're not a member of the AMA, if you're not willing to volunteer for these events, you don't really get to bitch. Like, you came to our party and now you're bitching that we threw a party and it wasn't the party you wanted.
People who bitch about the government but don't vote.
Right.
Right.
You,
You know,
have to
it's
do the
kind of the
minimum of
same
effort
thing.
to buy the admission
And
for the bitching.
you know, the side by sides were. I was a little heated by the side by sides, mostly because they were drunk and trying to back into my tent. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, don't back into my fucking tent with your fucking side by side. But
Dude, that one wasn't a side by side. That was the Baja
That was
1000
car.
winner
Car
from
winner.
fucking
Yeah, I
last
know,
year.
right?
My
46-inch wheels on a fucking 18-foot fucking wide vehicle.
Yeah, but
My statement holds. You might have a 36-foot Chris Craft at home.
yeah.
You don't bring it to Mid-Ohio.
You know what the best thing though? I don't know if you were. I think you were there for that part. Do you remember them in the Blues Brothers when the marching band goes into the dead end and they all smash into the wall?
Smash the wall, yeah.
When the parade of fucking just douche nozzles came with their fucking Baja buggies, and they didn't know that you couldn't get around the party anymore.
No, he turned our motherfucking street into the Dan Ryan Expressway in Chicago.
That's kind of the thing is we kind of need, do not enter signs right about our spot at the tent. Is because you cannot continue Friday, Saturday
Maybe
night. You
just
are
some
not getting
decent fabric-cobbled signs made out of garbage that says "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here" on a side-by-side.
Yeah.
Because you will be subject to ritualistic hazing of the highest order, and we're good at it.
And Phil's going to throw water balloons.
Well, people are starting to beach their bikes in my camp spot.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Like, hey, can I park here? I'm like, no. That's my campsite. Oh, well, what are you doing?
That's why we.
I'm already here, so yeah.
That's why we stoked the fire a little
Leave
higher.
my keys in it, and I'll take it down to the burnout pit. Or better yet, you do that. Take it down to the burnout pit.
Get in line.
But I do understand that. He's like, well, I don't want to walk the entire event. Okay, then great. Get a small vehicle.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I have a fleet of 4x4 small vehicles from Japan that are all smaller than those side-by-sides.
Right, and here's the thing.
And if you threaten me to, I can bring 6 of them to Mid-Ohio.
And here's the thing. All the old dudes that were like, well, hey, if I can't bring my thing or whatever, all those dudes brought small four-wheelers. They brought golf carts. The only douche nozzles I saw on fucking giant vehicles were all 30, 35. There's no way that those dudes were having problems walking around.
It's the Monster Energy set.
I was going to say, if you're 70 years old and you're walking with the limp, you've earned it.
That's
you're
why they
allowed to ride a Kawasaki
Bring your
mule.
garden tractor and ride around on
Or
that.
how about this? How about this? When you get a ticket, you say,
But
I
you're
would
not-
like
Oh my
to
God!
bring.
You bring up do you remember the guys? Do you remember the guys who had the Cub Cadet that had a trailer that was a Cub Cadet, and it was 2 big fellas? You know who I haven't seen in a few years?
Those 2 guys.
I don't think they made it through COVID.
Yeah, probably not. There's a dude on my street that has an 80-mile-an-hour lawnmower.
Sure.
I'm sitting there, and I one day, because remember my front yard kind of drops off to the street.
Yeah.
I just hear, brrrr, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And this dude on a lowered, widened fucking lawnmower goes down the road. It's like, fuck yeah. Bring that.
You live out in the country. Are you not involved in lawn tractor racing?
Not yet. No,
How come you're not in the league?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, come on, man.
You got to set up a track around your property there, make some money. But the one thing that I will say, massive improvement this year, and then a massive failure this year. Massive improvement. Food vendors were spectacular, including the mini food vendor at the top of the campsite, right by where you check into the campsite. There was that weird little area off on the side, and they had
the
pizza
pizzas
and
and stuff, yeah.
stuff. Stuff right there, just stuff at that corner, and it changed every day. There was different stuff,
Speaking of pizza, Pete used the thing you got him and actually fucking delivered pizza this year.
and sold it.
And sold it.
yeah,
He
no.
made like $700 or
Bless
something. He
his
said,
fucking heart, he did
Or he
it
said
right.
he paid enough to pay the gas to get
He
home.
did great.
Yeah.
He did fucking great, and that's exactly what that thing should be used for.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
like bringing a pretty girl to
But
Mid-Ohio,
he does
not
need.
horning her out.
He said that he had plans and it didn't work out, but he does need to make a LED pizza on the side.
Sure, and easy enough.
Yeah,
easy
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
So the food situation in the infield was fantastic. Like the vendors that were there,
But
the
the
people
little ice
selling
cream
food.
place is still not open. Where
The
all the
ice cream
cops
place
were.
was open,
Oh.
not the one on the corner because that
Now-
got displaced by the sheriffs.
Now the
Yeah.
Italian
There was-
ice joint was freaking spectacular.
Fucking good, delicious. That was delish.
That one was good.
That one was good.
No dream.
No, that Italian ice place was so good. I hit up one of our podcast listeners in the front row. I did a little key bump off my knife, and I was like, "That's spectacular. I'm going to get some of that." And I went back later and got some. It was fucking delightful.
Oh, yeah.
Now the fail. Where there were once 3 porta johns, there were only 1.
But I did achieve a lifetime goal.
You pooped in a clean portalette?
I pooped in a portalet that was not serviced, so I got to just like put a mound on the bottom of the tank with no juice in it. On Thursday when we got there.
Oh.
So I was there, and then Pete and those
They
guys
had,
came
they
down.
had put the portalet there. They hadn't filled it with
I
no
don't
chemicals
think they
yet.
put chemicals in them at all because it takes up too much space. Because the picture I took of one was filled all the way up to the
It was
fucking-
maxed out.
Yeah.
It was 100% maxed out.
That's the only thing I will, and I have
There
every
isn't-
right, and everybody has a right to complain.
Yeah.
Because that is a health and safety
It's a hygiene
issue.
problem.
You have to have shitters. You don't have to provide me with anything else.
Right.
And I have a shitter, but
But it can't be BYO shitter.
I'm like the Indian with the tear in his
Yeah.
eye. That shouldn't be that way.
And it's so because we know across from our campsite we had 3.
Yep.
Right? 3. And now there's 1 2 further rows over.
Yeah.
Which means they went from a concentration of 150 shitters in the campsite to 50.
Yeah.
Right? If that holds true, or maybe 25. I didn't see enough of them. That's for damn sure.
They need sucked out every day. Every
Oh yeah,
morning
no,
or
they
whatever.
had
Minimum.
But
they had the
work.
trucks running as hard. They had the
Yeah.
pumper trucks running as much as they had the water truck running.
I went to on Saturday evening. It had hit, and I knew my time was ticking, and so I had gone and I opened 5 doors. I went 5, and they were only every 3rd row.
Right.
I went 5.
So you walked like 7 miles to get to those.
I went 5 doors, and I pulled the door. What's behind curtain number 1? The worst thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Yep.
Same. Fuck it. I went infield to the actual racers' pits, to the hot pits bathrooms. And I went there.
That's what you do. But on Saturday night at about 1 a.m., because we stayed up pretty late on Saturday night, I went to go take a dump whatever. And I went and I took my little flashlight and I had it.
Yeah.
And I opened this door that was not locked. And I opened the porta potty.
Yeah.
And there's a dude on his knees yakking into the mouth of the porta potty. And I'm like, bro.
That's a bad
How would you ever stop yakking?
That is an unfortunate event.
There used to be, and I know I'm showing my stripes here, but there used to be a commercial 18-wheeler sized showers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Just this side where the fucking critter corner is, right?
Yeah.
Right there. There was a freaking wall of showers. Like,
And it had a sink thing outside of it.
Yes.
Like the little pump
Yeah,
of water and you can
right.
wash your hands. Yeah, I remember that.
all gone.
Yeah, gone.
All gone. 40,000 people. Nowhere to shit, nowhere to wash your hands.
They said I'm seeing 60,000 estimates.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I
a
don't
lot.
doubt. I don't
A
doubt
lot.
you.
Yeah.
I went up to find a friend in the what was now this year called the swap meet camping.
Yeah.
That's not so. If you're a swap meet vendor, when you booked your swap meet space, and we had 3 of them, we only used 1 of them, so we won't do that again. But when I booked my space, it said, "Would you like to spend an extra $75 to get a swap meet camping pass?" So why the fuck not, right? In for a penny, in for a pound. So I spent the extra $75 to get the swap meet camping pass. Useless. The area where John and I have historically parked our trailer up on the hillside on the other side of the fence was Tetrised in so tight. You could not have gone in or out with a 4-wheeled vehicle under any circumstances. And that was the area they had roped off and said was swap meet camping.
Yeah.
It was not swap meet camping. It was 738 trailers
Yep.
that people were sleeping in as being their support vehicle for their swap
people
meet.
are talking about security and everything.
Yeah.
Like they've been dicks in the past. And
Right.
I mean, the year that we were with the VJMC,
Right.
And we used to be able to camp in the infield where our thing was, so we could
Right.
watch the bikes.
Yep.
We had a tent. We had all these
Absolutely.
bikes.
Provide your own
so
security.
the guys with the VJMCs,
Yep.
we would camp right there where the bikes were.
Yep.
Well, they decided everybody, we're going to close the infield.
Yep.
Everybody out. So mid-weekend, we're like, well, fuck.
Yep.
What are we going to do?
Where are we going to go?
So I drives in a truck
Right.
up to the overflow parking
Yep.
to try to sleep in the truck.
Right.
What did they do? They
Yep.
lit off bottle rockets,
Yep.
whistling bottle rockets all night long
Yeah.
to keep you from camping or sleeping in the
Exactly.
overflow parking lot.
Right.
For no reason.
For no reason. Yeah.
But this year, man, like I have to admit, so that when we were chilling on Saturday, I took the little drone up and was flying it, and I didn't go over. I'm professional. I didn't go over the track or anything like that. I stayed over the camp, and it was a 240 gram. It could hit you in the head.
I was
going
going
to
to say, when somebody bitched about you flying that drone, I was like, if you were hit in the head by a pocket Bible, and I know a lot of you have
a
been,
pack of cigarettes.
it is the exact same experience.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's not. I'm not gonna whip out a fucking giant thing and fly. Blades
I saw
towards
Brad
you.
stop it with his dick.
Yeah. But anyways, when I went up, camping was. I've never seen it all the way to the top corner.
All the way to the fucking radio tower.
Yeah,
Every
all the way.
square inch, the whole way out.
The last spot behind it was just corn.
Yeah.
You couldn't go any further.
And had we gotten a gully washer, as they call it, had we gotten one of those Saturday events, people would still be there.
Oh yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. People
Yeah,
would
we
still
got
be
off
there.
great. That rain that we got was just, it was hard enough to give noobs a scare.
Yeah, it did. It scared. It gave people just a hint of Mid-Ohio.
Just a hint of Mid-Ohio, calmed the dust down, and then it went away.
It did.
It was great.
It was great. It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
The weekend
The
itself.
evenings were like a breeze that was like air conditioning. It was
so good.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. Then, by the way, that's why the generator rule. See, you guys, everybody feels strongly about side by sides. I feel strongly about generators. If your generator is running after 10 p.m., motherfucker had better be hooked to your iron lung.
Or it better be like John's new one that just sounds like a little.
Yeah, exactly. John's new one doesn't sound like anything at all.
What did we
Yeah.
say? It's
Right.
2023.
Yes.
Harbor Freight
And
sells.
I didn't let that run all night.
No.
I shut it off.
Harbor
Right.
Freight
But you didn't even
sells
really have
inverter
to,
generators for nothing.
The guy's generator that was right next to my van window, directly next to my van window, that he never shut off
Yeah.
until, bless his heart, 11 o'clock,
Oh, is
Eastern
that the one
Standard
that
Time.
finally ran out of gas?
He fed it all weekend long.
Oh,
He
God.
never ran out of gas. But I did make this very declarative statement right next to his trailer. I said, boy, this guy's got a fucking Harbor Freight generator from the 80s. And if this son of a bitch is running 1 minute after 10 p.m., it'll never run again in its life.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was funny.
straight piped it.
It was funny that he came out. I swear to God, he came out at like 9:59.
Yep.
And silenced it.
Yeah.
And he did that. But the rest of the time, we're sitting there trying to have a kibitz or whatever, and sure as shit, yeah,
If you can't buy
yeah.
an inverter generator right now,
Yeah.
go to Harbor Freight. They have 20% off every freaking day.
He's got a $49 generator
I
hooked
know.
to a $49,000 camper.
I know.
Yeah.
The guys in the horse trailer 2 doors down, they had the biggest Predator generator
Yes, they did.
you could buy.
They did.
And you could not hear it
No.
20 feet away.
No, that thing was running,
Oh, yeah.
and I barely heard it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a Predator. It was
Oh,
Harbor
yeah.
Freight.
Oh, yeah. It was
They're
cheap as you
expensive,
get.
but they're amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But it was bigger than dog shit.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was huge.
It was bigger than my
Yeah,
suitcase.
but yours kicked ass too. It charged everything. It
But-
ran the lights for the whole
Like you said,
campground.
Meckel
Like-
Fresh Water and Power. Meckel Fresh Light and Power.
I get up to wander the portal at 2 o'clock in the morning, and oh my
God.
And as soon as I was like, man, I am gonna go beat that thing until it
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah.
And as soon as I came out of the portal, it was and I'm like, man, I don't even have to go fight it.
Dude, my favorite thing, not my favorite, but one
Snatch
of the
fuel lines all night
Oh
long.
yeah.
one of the things I thought was funny.
Somebody beat me to it.
If you
Yeah.
go up to the quieter camping,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You'll see older people in their RVs,
Yeah.
like older, like 80, 70,
Right.
the old
Yeah,
dudes.
right.
And they have the generator going, they're AC wailing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But then they're in a sweatshirt.
Yeah. Inside. They're cold in the
yeah,
house.
they're
yeah.
cold in there,
Yeah.
but they'd rather
Yeah.
put a sweatshirt on than
Yeah.
just chill.
Then,
like,
then shut that fucker off for 1 minute.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny.
There was such a good breeze ripping through there. That whole place, it was splendid.
It was good, man.
Yeah. Gave the Santa Cruz people something to write home about. 'cause-
Oh, let's go there. So the Santa Cruz people, man, they were awesome.
Yes, they were.
So, man, Naked Jim was the man.
Everybody.
He was there.
Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah.
Stumpy John.
John
everybody.
Leote. John Leote is just still one of my favorite humans. I got to ride down there with him. We went, did our Walmart run and the whole deal. Did all the stuff we did.
Yep.
Watched Liza buy the world's smallest charcoal grill.
Which
Size of
now
my
is
hand.
at my house.
Size of my hand.
Yeah.
And but we did this whole thing and it had this whole adventure. I love traveling with John. John is fantastic. They call him Stumpy John. I call him John. What a good dude he is.
Yep.
But we got down there and I realized, we pulled in at we got into line with all the campers at 1:51 p.m. And I do not suffer a line, right? I will not. I'm too smart to be in a line, right? So I backed up my circus trailer, right? I backed up Dan's house. I backed it up behind the van, missed the guy's driveway by a few inches. It's okay. We got in, we got out clean, doubled back, went into the super secret back entrance of the thing, got there, managed to pass 15-year-old kid running security, got heavily scrutinized, got past him, got through a 58-year-old woman running security, and then she said, "Oh, you're the last people through this gate." And I went,
Nice.
I'm like, "You're retiring?" And she goes, "No, the gate's only open till 2 p.m. Not for nothing. Why the fuck would any gate in that place only be open
Yeah,
until
why do
2
they make
p.m.?
people go to the one gate? I don't understand.
Why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
You should have every gate that place has. Every gate should be open.
Right.
Because then you wouldn't have the cluster jugger fuckery going on at gate 3. You could spread it out over 10 different gates.
Also, here's an idea, AMA, if you listen to this,
Yeah.
but you don't. But why don't they do it like if you buy your tickets in January or February,
Yeah.
you can get in Wednesday at 5.
Oh,
if you
okay.
buy them in
Right.
February, March,
Right.
so it's like you have...
They barely had tickets
like
delivered
that.
2 days before the event.
No, but it doesn't matter. They're
It makes no
digital.
sense.
You
Why
have
can't you
receipts.
just print your tickets out as soon as you buy them? Like you should
You could if you did the campsites. So if you did a camping site, if you did a tent camping site, you could print your tickets out right there at the moment.
That's
But
through
if you-
Mid-Ohio.
Through Mid-Ohio. If you bought your tickets through the AMA and all you got was a QR code, they didn't cook those QR codes up until like 3 days before the event. People panicked. But if you bought the shit through Mid-Ohio, you had your pass, your ticket. And John and I had printed out several copies of everything. So when we kept going through, our copies were all printed out barcodes, not QR codes.
I needed nothing but that press pass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you had the press pass, you're good to go. We came in the back way, so we didn't get our press pass. We had to go get it later.
yeah.
But the great news was, by coming in the other gate, we were swimming upstream.
I'll
right?
tell you what, man. That I left at 4:30 a.m. Got
Right.
down there almost 6.
Yeah.
Nobody was there.
No.
I walked right in, got my badge. fucking-
Nice.
Then I had
Was there somebody in the booth at 6 o'clock in the
There
morning?
was 6:30. 6:30. The one lady that always
yeah.
is there.
Yeah, the lady who's been there forever.
Super nice,
Yeah,
super
Stephanie or
helpful,
whatever, yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
She was there. It took me about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I got the thing, and then I had you guys don't realize, man, how much me and Pete, because I got down there by myself. I started to spread shit out.
Yeah.
Pete came up and they were there and they put their stuff. And we spread stuff. There were so many poachers trying to poach.
Yeah.
They were trying to snake. I had to kick one dude out. He pulled right in,
Yeah.
right in between. I almost hit my
Well,
bike.
they know we got good property.
Yeah. It was interesting, but we reserved our spot, so that's the important part.
Maybe next year we do a little subletting. Grab an extra couple. Grab a couple extra on the side. I'll give you
$100.
prime location for $100.
Or at least snacks.
Welcome you into the best neighborhood at
Yeah.
Mid-Ohio. Right. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, because no kidding, Bruce was cooking.
Yep.
John was cooking. Becky was cooking.
Mike
Was cooking.
Mike from
Right.
Michigan, Baltimore, or
He
somewhere.
brought breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah.
Oh,
In giant breakfast sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
And I give credit, Mike,
In
if you're
aluminum
listening, he
foil.
says he listens.
Yeah.
This compared to other years, he
Yeah.
rode his car perfectly this year.
Oh.
He was just tuned perfectly.
He was tuned perfectly.
Yeah.
He came over with his giant bottle of Woodford Reserve Costco Select.
Yes.
He came over with that giant handle of bourbon, and he was just on the bubble.
Because a couple times in the past years, I was
It
worried
got away
about
from
him.
him.
I was
It got
worried
away
about
from
him.
him.
This year he dialed
This year
it
he
in.
had it perfect.
Yeah.
He had the staying power of a champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did well.
He did well this year. He did well.
And Dan's buddy, what's your
Bob.
No, not Bob. Harley
no.
Bob's part of the group. But the other guy,
Minnesota Mats.
Minnesota
Matt, awesome guy, man. He was super
He
cool,
was great.
man. Yeah.
There you go. There
I forgot.
yeah. The big bowl, the big giant bottle of bourbon.
Well, yeah,
bourbon.
because before he brought the sandwiches,
Right.
Because I think that was him, right?
Mike. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
brought this
Yeah.
over,
Yeah.
and then he brought over the sandwiches the next day, and I'm like, holy crap!
He was trying to donate that to the bourbon for it, but I said just put it out for the house.
That's what we
no,
said.
no.
Put it out for the house.
Because
Put it out for the house.
We had plenty for
Right.
the bourbon.
Yeah,
And
the
the
Bourbon
bottle of-
Fairy had its own blend.
And then there's the bottle of Jim Beam that's floating around somewhere.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think that handle. I
that
don't
may
know if-
not have made it.
I don't know if the handle made it back. Yeah. The handle got
But this
a
is
hard life.
this is how much we went through.
Yep.
And then we had the bottle of Jim Beam.
I got introduced by Wendy and her husband Mike to a Mexican bourbon. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this right. A Canadian bourbon that you can only buy in Mexico. And it had the odor, it had the unique flavor profile of delightful maple syrup and vanilla.
Huh.
Perfect dessert bourbon.
Nice.
I want to shout out to Eric and Patrick. Eric brought this amazing scotch made in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, he did.
Mesquite smoked.
Mesquite.
It was incredible. I expected, okay, they're trying to do a scotch.
Right.
This is going to be garbage. It was fantastic.
Epic.
And a shout out to whoever brought that horrible thing from Virginia that we kind of looked at and went, no.
Oh, that.
Tasted like burning tires.
There's that. But yet Naked Jim seemed to like it.
Naked Jim.
Naked Jim actually was like, "This is really good."
I can blend that into something
Yeah,
good.
Dan was kind of like, yeah, I can work with this. But
You
it
talking
was
about
like,
the church whiskey?
Yeah.
we all kind of looked at each other and went,
I didn't
no.
try it, but you know.
Yeah.
I smelled it, and it smelled like a burnt tire.
It did have a little bit
It
of
had a
overtones.
flavor profile of a burnt tire. Yeah.
Frankincense and myrrh.
It was not
Like,
delicious.
no, but people kept coming by and they kept dropping off bourbons and
Yeah, we
whiskey
had
and
all
everything
kinds of cool
else.
stuff.
And we were doing all right.
Oh, we didn't even like. Patrick brought in literally a beautiful bottle of Basil Hayden's.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You can hide that for later."
Oh, yeah, that's upstairs.
And then later on,
that
they
is
busted
upstairs.
out with their Centurion helmets with the sippy cups built into them. And I was like, these guys know how to play.
Yeah, they
And
did
John
well.
threw a little beep, boop on their carburetor. And after that whole thing, Tom and I had the discussion about every time you think it's a carburetor, it's a CDI.
Yep.
Yeah.
They went down to the guys that had the booth with the SSR parts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they bought a CDI, and it worked. It fixed the problem.
Yep.
Yep.
And then it fixed the problem for a while, and then they went and bought a carburetor for $32, and that double fixed the problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is true. Sometimes when you think it's a carburetor problem, it's a CDI. Because John diddled that fucking carb from here to the sun went down.
Yeah, I took a quick look at it. They had the idle crank through the roof.
Maximum.
Trying to
When you-
compensate for what seemed like a bad car, but
Right.
then the fact that you couldn't start it, then that was leaning towards no.
Electrical.
It's
Now-
got electrical, and then we finally pulled the plug out and getting
Yeah.
nothing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Now, pro tip from your mechanic.
Yeah.
If a carburetor costs less than $50
Yeah.
for your bike,
Yeah.
just buy the damn carburetor.
And if at worst case scenario, you learn something and you might have an extra carburetor. Worst case scenario.
Right.
But it'll help you fix the problem of is it CDI or is it carburetor?
Yep.
If you have a Chinese bike and you have a CDI and you have a carburetor, you will figure out one of the two. And they're both really easy to change.
And they're both really cheap.
They're both really cheap. And you know what they both have in common? That together they cost less than 1 hour of labor.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's $30 for the carburetor and $20 for the CDI,
It's
which
still
means it's
a
$50,
half an hour labor.
even if you pay tax and shipping.
Half
it's
an hour
still,
labor.
Yeah.
Half an hour labor. That is the best half an hour you'll ever save.
Yep.
I totally agree. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with that math. That math gets you home every time.
I actually don't even rebuild Vespa carburetors anymore if I have to, because
Well-
every single one of them is going to be a Spacco.
we know. We know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how they work.
And they're all
right?
going to have bad float needles, and the seat's going to be eaten out, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Call that cunnilingus.
Cunnilingus.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Wait,
it.
wait, it's
Anybody
Italian.
else got anything
It's
else?
Italian.
I need 2 minutes.
All right, go ahead.
So I
We accept you for who you are.
believe this or not, I got super high the other night.
No.
And
Wait, for you. Now, wait a second. Is that on the normal scale? Because I had to go to bed early on Friday night.
yeah, you just puffed on a little bit. That was
Fucking dude, I was barely contact high on that shit.
You know,
I took puff pass. I took 6 puff pass, and then all of a sudden, I wasn't me anymore.
yeah. That it
What
was.
happened to Phil?
I became the snuggle monster.
Yeah, we did good. We did good. So let me just say, Naked Jim, me, Bagel, and a lot of other people.
Yeah.
We went through some product, man.
Yeah, you did.
It was good. It was a good weekend, man. That was a fun part. But so I was in a pretty good mood, and I was feeling the vibes. So this is called the scratch track. It's the track that I recorded.
Right.
That's going to be a good track.
Okay.
But I'm so excited about it that I
Yeah.
brought the scratch track.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. You want to hear it?
Sure, why not?
It's about mid-Ohio, so I figured
Okay,
it
go
fit.
ahead.
All right, here we go. Ready? Let's see if I get this. Little intro. You like motorcycles? We all like motorcycles. All right. This is good, though. Well, at least I think so. Listen to this shit. Kicks in right now.
Well, I jumped out of bed about 3:45, grabbed my wallet and keys, and I headed for the door and jumped into the truck with the trailer loaded to the brim. I pushed the pedal all the way to the floor, hit the Mid-Ohio exit, and I was at the door to the greatest motorcycle event that's ever been. Oh, every year at the end of July, I pack my bikes up and I start to drive to the greatest place that there is on this earth. I buy and sell and I trade for more, take 30 bikes home to restore, and I'll do it all in the best of company. I got to Mid-Ohio about 8 a.m., met up with the boys and we started to plan the day's events that we wanted to see. You can choose from shop and you could do some racing, all the different kinds of classes, what Vintage Days embraces, or you could sit back and watch the insanity. So load up the truck, start to cooler with beer, get the carbs cleaned out and the tires holding air. It's time to meet up with friends from across this land. We'll shop all day and we'll party all night, ride 1,000,000 miles on tiny pit bikes, and we'll do it all while drinking a cold beer.
Last verse.
When the sun goes down and your money's all spent, head over to the corner with the big white tent. There you'll find the captain with his band of insanity. You can burn off a tire, you could see a naked gimp, you could find the Bourbon Fairy and he'll give you a sip, and when the day's all over you get to do it all again. Oh, every year at the end of July I'll pack my bikes up and I start to drive to the greatest place that there is on this earth. I buy and sell and I trade for more, take 30 bikes home to restore, and I do it all in the best of company. So load up the truck, start to cooler with beer, get the carbs cleaned out and the tires holding air. It's time to meet up with friends from across this land. We'll shop all day and we'll party all night, ride 1,000,000 miles on tiny pit bikes, and we'll do it all while drinking a cold beer.
The last time.
We'll shop all day and we'll party all night, ride 1,000,000 miles on tiny pit bikes, and we'll do it all while drinking a cold beer.
It's magnificent.
So at Patreon level $25.
All the voices are your voice, right?
Yeah,
Just
I was.
double tracked.
Here's the best part. I forgot I did that. I fucking woke up. My computer was on. I came out of the bedroom. I'm like, what the fuck was I working on last night? And I was like, oh, that's not bad.
The music elves. They showed up in the middle of the night and made a hit record.
You were possessed.
My plan is to actually, record the guitar parts well, do a solo, but I want to get John in with me, and we want to have the whole gang sing part. Yeah.
It's a sing song.
Right?
Damn what you
Sleepy,
got.
that's magnificent. I'm so proud of you right now.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
You can easily send that as is if you want.
Oh, you could,
Okay.
yeah, you could shoot that shit down range immediately.
I might have to
When
post
you
it
run
at-
that up the flagpole, everyone's gonna salute.
All right.
So did we talk about Sleepy's camera?
I got it back.
I know. And last year I lost my driver's license. It got mailed back to me. This year you lost your camera, and
Well, let me say when I lost it, it wasn't like I was just stupid. I had a bandolero with this metal ring that attaches to the thing, and I've used it for years.
Right.
And so I went to the bathroom, and it was on,
Yeah.
and I got on my bike, and I rode about, 2 minutes.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
noticed I was light.
right, exactly.
And the metal ring, half of it was broke
ripped
off.
off, yeah.
Yeah, so
You
I mean,
lost your camera.
Yeah, it sucked.
And what did I tell you the first day?
You have faith in
I
humanity.
have
You
faith in Mid-Ohio.
Yeah,
I
you
have
do.
faith in Mid-Ohio. I've never lost a tool. I've had my toolbox out and open for everyone to use for years and years, 20 plus years. I've loaned people shit. You can be as generous as you want to be at Mid-Ohio because everybody's on the same fucking team.
Yeah.
Don't care what color hat you wear. We're all on the same fucking team at Mid-Ohio. And I love that. And when I know you were so heartbroken, you were so stressed out.
I'm going to shout this
But
guy
you know
out.
what?
Hold on. This guy.
That whole thing, that camera was disappeared. I was like, it's only a short matter of time until he gets it back.
All right. If anybody knows Kenny Eddington, Eddington, he is the guy that returned my camera.
Kenny,
he found it. He's the man.
you're
He's
a fucking spirit
Can
of
I
God.
tell you something? Can I
Buy
tell
that
you
man
something?
a drink.
Well,
That's
here's
right.
the thing. Because I was so distraught, I even
Yeah.
told him, I'm like, dude, you can keep the camera
Yeah.
for finding it. Just send me
Right.
the memory card.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'll return it.
No.
Then I said, let me send you something. Let me send just something. No,
Right.
he wouldn't have none of it. Wouldn't
I'll
take
go
it.
downtown, get 2 blowjobs, bring you back one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right.
Or at least a video. Right.
Yeah.
With the camera that he returned.
Camera you
God damn it. But I have faith in Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, you do.
I have faith. I have implicit faith in Mid-Ohio. Always have done. It's never let me down. Never had a bad experience. Never had anybody rip me off, stick me. And even those situations, where you run into an inexperienced person, doesn't know the rules or something like that, you can usually bring them into the group, school them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we're all happier on the way out.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve, I'm so chuffed with that song, man. You
All right,
just
we
made
got to
my
work it
whole
together. We
goddamn
got to
week.
get everybody in on it, though.
We can.
All right, that'll happen.
We can. I think it's beautiful the way it is.
All right, but
you know what? Here I'm sitting here. When you listed off that gang of heroes, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was them, and I was like, I can't place these voices. I couldn't even place your voice.
Oh, good.
In the track.
Excellent.
Yeah, I
'Cause
couldn't
it's not a
place your
good voice, but
well, not even a really good voice, but I couldn't place your voice in the track. I was like, who are these magnificent bastards singing this beautiful song?
about our greatest place
And it
on
was
earth.
about the greatest place on earth.
That's right.
It's so true. I love it. Man, you guys are all rock. All right, anybody else got anything else?
No, let's go party.
Let's go fucking. We're going to Fuel Cleveland's pre-party tonight.
Yes, we are.
That's it. Maybe if we're good, we'll go to Hell Farm and Village tomorrow and see the real
we'll see
thing.
about that.
All right, so if that's all I got, I'm going to say to my friends, ride fast and take chances. Play us out of here, John.
Bum, 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 bum,
Take chances. Ride fast, take chances. Ride fast, take chances.